Welcome back to WCBN Sports Radio. I'm Gabby Miller, joined alongside by the one and only Jaden Fode for one of the most highly anticipated matchups this season. Jaden, what do we have tonight?
Oh my gosh, Gabby, I'm so excited to be here with you in Washington, D.C. for number 1 Michigan versus number 3 Duke. And exactly like you said, this is one of the most anticipated basketball games of this college basketball season. And this is one of the biggest games in program history for the Wolverines in a really long time, especially for regular season matchups for both these teams. And I mean, we're in for a huge matchup today. Lots of star power on both of these teams and incredible seasons from them both so far. So this is a huge game. 100%
with the victors blaring in the background. We're going through warm-ups currently, but Jaden and I will give a little pregame banter for you all right now. Obviously, a number 1 and number 3 matchup today, live in DC at Capital One Arena. This is the second matchup for the Wolverines in their number 1 ranking, obviously taking down the Boilermakers on Tuesday, Jaden.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge game for the Wolverines. They went into Mackey Arena at Purdue, faced off against the number 7 team in the nation. And like you said, that was the first game of the season where the Wolverines were ranked number 1. There was a lot of anticipation surrounding that game. You know, the Wolverines stepped up to the plate. They delivered yet again another double-digit victory. It's like come to expect with this Michigan team that they end up winning by double figures. And another incredible showing for them on the road now today at a neutral site location in a matchup against the Duke Blue Devils. And they went from playing the number 7 team in the nation to the number 3 team in the nation. So it does not get any easier for this Wolverines team.
100%. And there were a lot of key things to take away from that matchup this last Tuesday. We saw huge defensive pressure, especially in the paint for the Wolverines, really giving Purdue a lot of trouble on the glass. So we're going to have to see and expect Duke to try and make more opportunities happen, especially their go-to everything player, Cameron Boozer, warming up. We saw him drain several threes, so we're obviously expecting that from him today. He's just getting announced right now. How fitting.
Oh my gosh, I know. He is such an incredible player, and watching him warm up in person, I mean, it's so incredible to see him up close, especially going from the TV to seeing 100%. Him in person. It's a crazy difference, but you know, we were talking about it a little bit before. You know, the three-point shooting from him is huge, and that's what it's going to take to beat a team like Michigan. We saw them get beat earlier, their one loss of the season to Wisconsin by 3 points, but Wisconsin had to make 15 three-pointers in that game. And
100%.
You mentioned the three-point shooting is going to have to be huge if a team like Duke or a team like anyone wants to beat Michigan 100%. At this current state.
Even CBS is saying, obviously, 10 3-point shots are going to have to be drained for Duke to
that's
have
the minimum
chance.
At this point when you're playing the Wolverines.
You have to make those huge, huge long-range shots. So we anticipate that. Obviously, Boozer is known for his high percentages on 3-point shots. So we're going to have to see some higher shooting opportunities from other players from Duke as well. Yep. We're going to see a highly anticipated point guard matchup today. Elliot Cadeau and Caleb Foster. Elliot Cadeau performing as the better of the two so far this season, statistically speaking. We will see how they match up today, Jaden.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Going back to Caden Boozer, he's, you know, the leader of this team, but they're going to need other players to step up and make some three-pointers. Caleb Foster is definitely going to be one of them that they're going to look for to drain some of those three-pointers, kind of help take some of the pressure off, and then, like you mentioned, that point guard battle. Nothing new for Elliot Cadeau, who is a former UNC transfer, so he's faced off against the Duke Blue Devils plenty of times in his college career, but now doing so for the first time with the Michigan Wolverines. He's going to be huge. He had an incredible game against Purdue. We're going to need to see another performance like that from him, especially, you know, a couple games earlier this season, turnovers were an issue, but he's going to need to take care of the basketball today, and both of these point guards will need to do the exact same thing.
100%. This pressure is nothing new to Elliot Cadeau, especially facing the Duke Blue Devils. We are lined up around the Edwards Jones Capital Showcase logo here in Capital One Arena. We are about to tip off. All right. Adai Mara and Gungba. Michigan wins the tip. Flicked back to Lendeborg. And that's going to be passed off to Elliot Cadeau at the top of the key as he takes on Sarr. Elliot Cadeau is going to bounce, pass it over to Laxenberg. Laxenberg's going to bring it back to the center and pass it right wing to Burnett. Burnett looking for something. At right elbow is going to pass it off to Mara. Mara waiting for his options to open. He's going to hand it off to Cadeau. Cadeau's going to drive down the middle. Floating it up. Tipped in by Mara! 2-0 Michigan.
A lot of defensive pressure, though, from Duke in the opening possession.
Foster's going to take the ball down the court for the Blue Devils. Cadeau putting on tight pressure to Evans. Evans going to pass it left corner to Bozer, who's going to pass it back up to Evans. He's going to release a three. The rebound's going to go no good. Puts up another after that rebound. No good again. Easily recovered and rebounded by Mara. He's going to pass it off to Cadeau, who drives right angle. And we're going to have a foul here.
And you saw in the first opening possession for Duke on offense, they missed the first three-pointer. They get the offensive rebound and then miss the second. But Michigan's need to be tough on the glass. Like you mentioned, the rebounding battle is going to be huge, especially Michigan can use the height of Adai Mara to their advantage. 7'3", tallest player on the court. So he's going to be huge on the offensive and defensive glass for the Wolverines.
100%. He's going to have to really show out today, Jaden. I couldn't agree more. Ball will be inbounded for the Wolverines. Passed left corner to Mara, who's going to dish it off to Johnson for an easy floater. 4-0 Wolverines.
Yeah, nice and easy for Merez Johnson, finding space and getting open. If you can find those bigs for Michigan open, that's huge.
100%. Foster's going to take his dime in front of the key. Passing it off to Evans, who slam dunks that one in. Walking through the key. Something we mentioned might be a struggle for Duke, but Evans says no so far. Yaxel's going to take it himself. Pump fakes for a three. Dishing it right arc for Mara. Mara's going to set a quick pick and hand it off to Burnett. Burnett's going to take on Foster himself. Pass it off to Elliot Cadeau, who's way downtown for a three. That's going to bounce off the left rim and go out. Easily rebounded by Evans. He's going to pass it off to Foster. Foster's going to take it down left corner, passing it back up to the top of the key for Gongba. Gongba's going to pass it off to their star player. Boozer is going to dish it back into him in the key. Taking it left corner, step back. Released, and that'll be no good. Bouncing off the rim. Mara's going to get tangled up with Boozer, though, and we will see a foul called on him.
And you saw in that play, it looked like the rebound was coming straight to Adai Mara for the Wolverines, and then Cameron Boozer just comes flying in, and that's just the aggressiveness that he plays with on both offense and defense. I mean, he's so athletic, so physical for this Duke team, and that's going to be huge for Michigan. Needs to get on those rebounds before he can.
Inbounded deep, just short of the half-court line for Gongba. Gongba's going to swing it around left corner for Boozer's, not going to be able to put something off. He's going to connect with Sar. Sar going to put up a three, and that's good. Burnett going to quickly inbound that in to Cadeau. Cadeau swinging it right arc to Johnson. Johnson swinging left arc for Yaxel Lendeborg. He's going to drive down and be fouled, but he puts up the shot, and it's good. 6-5 Wolverines lead. And he will be sent to the line. Jaden?
Yeah, and you see the and one from Lendeborg. He neglects to take the three-pointer that it looked like he had an open shot and then drives into the key. It's almost a 4-on-1. He gets fouled, but still gets the bucket up. And also, free throws are going to be huge. Duke's not too great from the free throw line, and the Wolverines have struggled earlier this season. They've gotten better lately, but this leaving points up on the board for free throws cannot happen for the Wolverines if they want to win today.
I completely agree. It's interesting to see how their stats have changed so far this season, Jaden. That's going to be no good for Lendeborg, though, so unfortunately those stats are probably going to go back down. Foster's going to take it himself down court. He's going to have a quick exchange with Gongba. We're at right arc now for Sar, and we will have a whistle here. It's going to be inbounded by Duke. There's going to be a charge foul on Burnett. That slipped past us. Ball inbounded by Duke. That's going to go to Gongba. Back up to the top to Foster at the top of the key. He's going to try and flick it in the paint for Gongba again, but it's going to be intercepted by the Wolverines. On a fast break, lobbing it up. Yaxel puts it up, and that goes through from the right side.
Well, that was a tough lob by Roddy Gale, who just checked into the game to find Yaxel, but he's able to corral that and put it right back up.
Foster with speed takes a right angle dribble, puts it up, and it rings around. No good, but there's going to be a foul picked up by the Wolverines, so he will be sent to the line.
You could see Foster moving really quick in transition there on that play, trying to catch the Wolverines on some off-ball defense, especially, driving into the paint like we mentioned before. If you can catch the Wolverines off guard in the paint, that's where you're going to find a lot of success, especially with that front court of Johnson, Mara, Lendeborg. It's going to be hard to beat them.
100%, and he puts that one through. I couldn't agree more, Jaden. With something that we've seen so much with this team is their tight defensive pressure in that paint. There is no chance if you let Michigan regroup and recover and get back into position, you're going to have no luck in the paint. So these fast breaks that Foster is taking is so beneficial. He puts both of those in, and now it is 7-8. Michigan still up by 1 here. Taken down the court by Gale. He's going to pass it off to Johnson. Cadeau's going to take a wide 3, and that's going to ring around and come out short. Foster, again, on a quick break, is going to take it himself, passing it off to Boozer, who dishes it left corner for a 3 that goes easily through. Nothing but net for Evans there. Michigan trying to go with speed themselves, is going to put it up, and Lendeborg's going to put it in himself, but there will be a foul there. Jaden, what'd you see there?
My gosh, I mean, on the other side of the ball, just Isaiah Evans, that is one of the players that we noted. Him and Caleb Foster, 2 of those guys that need to get going from 3 for Duke, and starting on a strong foot early on in this game, but now for Lendeborg, needs to make these free throws. He
does. This is where Lendeborg is going to have to really perform highly today to get these free additional points, and he puts that one in. The score is now 11-10. Michigan still leads. Inbounded for Duke. Foster's going to pass court, push it right arc to Sar. Sar's going to pass it back to the key, over to Foster again. That's going to go off to Brown. Back to Foster. Now we're in left arc area. Foster on the ball, passes to Boozer. Tough coverage by the Wolverines. Gale's going to put an arm in, but it's going to be still Duke possession and easily dunked in by Brown. Michigan with speed is going to inbound the ball. Left arc of the court. Lendeborg's going to try and pass, but it's going to be deflected off of the arm of Brown. They're saying that's Duke possession. And we're going to have a brief timeout, Jaden.
Yeah, first timeout in this game so far. And I mean, just looking at the way this game's going, Duke up by 1 point, 12-11, and their star player is still yet to record a basket. So, I mean, not much time has ticked off the clock yet. Still 15 minutes and 46 seconds left to go in the first half. But, I mean, just the fact that this Duke team looks like they're rolling right now, and they're really clicking on offense, and the fact that Caden Boozer has not scored yet, that's huge for them. If you can get your other players going around your star, that's incredible, because you know with a player like him, or Cameron Boozer, you know with a player like him, he's not going to stay quiet for long.
No.
And so it's just a matter of time until he gets going, and if everyone can get going around him, that's exactly what Duke needs.
100%. One thing we've seen work so well for the Michigan Wolverines this season so far is the depth on their team. With all of these fast drives and fast breaks that we are seeing in general from the Duke Blue Devils, I'm expecting for a lot of those new feet to come into the court, and we're going to have to see that depth really perform highly today, because obviously if you're John Shayer for the head coach of Duke, you're going to expect that Michigan's going to have a target on your star player, Cameron Boozer. You're going to expect that, and you're going to know that other players like Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans and even Malik Brown are going to have to step up today. And we are seeing the 3 of those so far really perform highly and put up those points. Again, you said, Boozer, their star player has not had a point yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Everyone really needs to step up, and that's exactly what we've seen from Duke so far. It feels like Michigan, exactly like you said, they do have, I mean, probably the best depth in all of college basketball. I mean,
honestly, yeah.
One thing I really noticed, it's Cameron Boozer. He's predicted to be National Player of the Year, and so they have the advantage there when it comes to the best player on the team. But then when it comes to everyone else, I think the Wolverines take over in that category. And like you said, seeing some of those guys come off the bench, we saw Roddy Gale come in already, but then they still have Trey McKinney and LJ Kaysen, who have been playing out of their minds, incredible recently. And you know, Trey McKinney averaging 10 points per game as just a freshman, and LJ Kaysen, someone who can come in and play point guard in lieu of Elliot Cadeau when he takes a spot on the bench. So just being able to add some of those pieces in, you know, really can keep a team like Duke on their toes and keep, you know, like you said, add some of those fresh legs in the game, pick up the tempo. And, you know, I don't know, see how things go. But for both teams so far, doing well so far, and you know, only a 1-point game with barely 4 minutes left, so tons of time left to play. But I'm really impressed by what I've seen from Duke so far, especially since their star player hasn't even got himself going yet.
I completely agree. It's almost like they literally studied the exact stuff we studied before this game. As in, obviously, there's going to be a target on Boozer. It's so impressive, truly, that Foster is stepping up and really kind of taking on that persona that we see Elliot Cadeau take on for the Wolverines a lot so far. We're seeing a lot of assists, a lot of playmaking from him right now. And then, obviously, Isaiah Evans, and even the sub, he didn't start. He wasn't in the starting five, but Malik Brown really showing out so far. We're seeing these fast breaks, and they know they have to take the paint with speed, or there's not going to be many layup opportunities for Duke.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest keys that I've seen so far is Duke being able to get out in transition, get the fast break points, because, you know, like we've said, Michigan's front court, probably the best in the nation with Morez Johnson, Adai Mara, Yaxel Lendeborg. But if you can catch those guys off guard, if you can make space in the paint for your guys to go up there and get a layup, you're going to find success against the Wolverines, especially, like, you know, you catch them before they're back set on defense, you're going to get some of those easy buckets.
100%. Lendeborg is going to inbound this for the Wolverines, passing it back to the other side of half court. Elliot Cadeau now passing half court. He's going to dribble it in with two men on him. Lendeborg's going to pass off a quick three, and that's easy. All right, inbounded by Boozer. Duke's going to have a counterattack of their own.
And Lendeborg already up to 10 points in this game, just barely 5 minutes gone.
A little brotherly love now as Caden Boozer checks into the game for Duke. He's going to dish it right arc for Brown. Brown's going to try and take on Mara, dishing it all the way over to left arc. He gets it again, right arc with so much space that he's going to release a three, but that'll rim around and be no good. Easily rebounded by Lendeborg. He's going to dribble it and take it himself. Dishing it right corner for a three by LJ Kaysen. Score is now 17-12 as the Wolverines tried large this margin that they have right now. Caden Boozer's going to take it and pass it right block to his brother. Cameron Boozer is going to put it up for two.
That's the moment we've been waiting for, him getting his first points of the game.
I know. Happening much later than anticipated, but on the attack, Lendeborg's going to find himself on the right block with two men on him. It looks like it could have been a potential foul, but he puts it up even while he's fouling, and that falls through. 19-14, Michigan still leads. Caden Boozer's going to take it down the middle, passing it left arc off to Saar. Saar's going to pass it off to Brown. Tightly covered by Mara, passing it right arc to Boozer, who's going to put off a three, but that's no good, wrapping around. It's going to be launched down court by Mara, though, all the way to a Yaxel Lendeborg, who's in the paint, but that's going to be not caught by anyone and fly out of bounds for a Michigan Wolverine ball to be inbounded.
This is the Wolverines starting to put some of their subs in. We saw LJ Kaysen coming and Trey McKinney, the exact two that we mentioned prior to coming back from this media timeout.
Kaysen now driving down the right side of the key. And that's going to be deflected off of, I believe, a Duke body for the Wolverines. A lot of Duke fans unhappy by that call.
There's a lot of Duke fans in here, and you can hear the boos. They don't quite agree with that one.
Our Nat Mike picked up a bit of anger from that one, and it's going to be actually, are they reviewing it?
I think they're challenging it.
I think they are challenging that play. Duke fans seem a little bit more satisfied by that call. But as they review this play, both teams are going to be allowed a second to huddle and kind of recoup. All right. Scheyer wasn't happy with that call, so he challenged it, and now it will be currently reviewed.
Wolverines up with a 5-point lead. With just about 14 minutes left to go in this first half. It feels like more than 6 minutes have ticked off the clock.
This has been easily the most intense matchup I think I've watched out of Michigan basketball so far. Obviously, when they went to East Lansing, that was probably pretty similar to this, but this one I would say even amounts more. Obviously, you have so much on the line, Jaden. You have kind of battling it off for that #1 seed as we approach the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. You have the #1 team in the nation with 1 loss, and then the #2 or the #3 team in the nation with 2 losses. So Michigan loses this game, they both have 2 losses. Duke loses this game, they have 3 losses. The Wolverines walk away with 1 loss. And
all right, you are hearing A lot of happy Duke fans in this arena now. As the challenge went in their favor, it did go off of a Dai Mara, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty obvious to me, I can't
when
lie.
When they reviewed it in front of the whole stadium,
yeah.
It does appear to quite obviously be Duke's possession. That'll be inbounded and taken down court by Jaden Boozer. Tightly covered by LJ Case, and he'll pass it off to his brother right at the top of the key. He'll drive down the right side of the paint, try and put up a shot, but a Dai Mara will swat it down. However, they're going to call a foul off that, and as you will see, there are a lot of angry, mazed fans in this arena not happy by that call as well, Jaden.
That's a hard one to call. That looks like a pretty clean block to me, I can't lie. A Dai Mara, especially with the height he has, just gets up there, swats the basket away, but
100%. That one didn't look like too much content, but a bend in the knees and he'll release it, and that'll fall through. Cameron Boozer, that one falls through. Now the score is 15 Duke, 19 Michigan. He'll dribble 3 times, dribble once more, bend the knees, the release, and that also falls through. Quickly inbounded by the Wolverines. Kaysen's going to take this ball down court, but slow down the pace and kind of let the Wolverines recuperate here. That's going to be intercepted, though, quickly by Duke. And driven down court by Foster, who's going to pass it off to Boozer. Boozer's going to pass it off to Foster again. He looks like he's going to shoot, but doesn't, and he passes it off to Brown. Back on left arc to Foster again. Kind of passing it around the arc right now. This tight Michigan defense not allowing much to happen. A spin move by Foster, though, opens up a very open shot for Foster on right arc. He lets that one fly, and as you can hear by the noise in this arena, that one falls through. Inbounded by the Wolverines. Lendeborg on left arc, passing it to McKenney, left corner, who passes it to a Johnson, and it's good. On left block, he throws up a shot, and that'll fall through. 21-19 Michigan. Inbounded by Duke. Jaden Boozer in a 1v1 with Trey McKinney. Tight press by this Michigan defense, Jaden. Duke trying to open an opportunity. He's going to pass it around the arc to a very open Caleb Foster, who lets another 3 fly. Again, we mentioned this in pregame, and they are really seizing the opportunities of these threes. Michigan on the counterattack is going to pass it to a very wide open Roddy Gale Jr., who lets one fly, but that hits off the rim, and bodies are everywhere getting this rebound, Jaden.
And Duke fans are thrilled. And they get the possession arrow. And
they called a jump ball there, and it goes in favor of Duke.
I mean, the Wolverines just scrambling all over the place for the ball in that possession. Not a single one of them could really corral the ball and get their hands on that one. The ball's just rolling around on the ground. Lendeborg gets on the ground, but pulled into a jump ball, and Duke possession once again.
An eruption of let's go blue cheers for the Blue Devils as Foster drives down the right side of the paint, putting up a shot, but there will be a foul called on it. It looks like we're going to have another timeout here, Jaden.
Yeah. And I mean, oh my gosh, Caleb Foster just looks absolutely incredible right now.
Wow.
And the one thing I've really noticed is that you can tell the Wolverines are kind of starting to double Cameron Boozer when he gets the ball. You know, they're sending 2 to him. A lot of times it's Morris Johnson and it's Yaxel Lendeborg. And then you know what happens when you double team someone, that leaves another player wide open, and it just so happens to be Caleb Foster, who's wide open from 3 every single time. He's 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, and he's already up to 8 points on the game. And it's just, when you focus so much on that star player like we noticed, Cameron Boozer, that leaves another player to get theirs. And I mean, we saw something very similar in the Purdue game. Purdue had Braden Smith, who was one of the best players in the nation. Michigan focuses a lot on Braden Smith when they played Purdue, and then that leaves Trey Kaufman-Renn wide open. He gets about, I think, 27 points in the Purdue game. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. You slow down the star, but then that leaves room for, one of those role players to really step up, pick up the momentum, and that's what's happening in this game. They're slowing down Cameron Boozer a little bit, but that leaves Caleb Foster to pick up right where he left off. And he's showing out today. He's not missing his shots.
100%. I understand completely why you'd want to double mark someone like Cameron Boozer. But again, once you do that, you leave opportunities for other stars on this team that don't normally shine that bright to shine brighter.
Yep.
And that's exactly what's happening with Caleb Foster. I mean, you compare him and Elliot Cadeau on the regular, especially with past games we've seen this season. But you're seeing teams that haven't necessarily put as tight of defensive pressure as the Wolverines have throughout this game so far, in these 9 minutes we've experienced so far. So now that we're seeing that, we're seeing other opportunities and more kind of that being that everything do-it-all player from Caleb Foster so far today.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. That's what we're seeing. And, when you have a point guard that's so dynamic like that, exactly like you mentioned, we've seen Elliot Cadeau have games like this, but today it's the Caleb Foster game so
Caleb
far.
Foster
And,
show.
if Michigan keeps it up with the double team, I feel like at some point, you gotta trust your guy on Cameron Boozer, and you gotta put someone on Caleb Foster. You cannot leave this guy open right now.
So I guess that leads me to my next question, Jaden. If you're Dusty May down there right now, and you want to still run, not a zone, you want to do kind of a man-to-man defensive situation, but obviously not double team, because it's proving for Duke that they have these other key component players that they can kind of be that backup option and put up those threes easily. So who defensively do you want covering a star like Cameron Boozer?
That's a hard one. I think right now, when I think of who do I want defending for the Wolverines, I would put Yaxel Lendeborg on whoever's doing the best on Duke right now. Mm-hmm. The Wolverines, I think what's so great about them is they switch so well. You can put these guys on anyone and they can defend, but I want to go with Yaxel Lendeborg, and I'd put him on Caleb Foster right now, to be totally honest with you. And until Cameron Boozer starts, picking up some of Caleb Foster's slack, if they, they start covering Caleb Foster a little bit more, and you can put a guy like Merez Johnson, and those are the two I would go to, Yaxel Lendeborg and Merez Johnson. You have the height from Adai Mara, but I think I trust Lendeborg and Johnson a little bit more when you're looking for the perimeter defense, and you go with Mara inside the paint,
100%
around the rim.
Need that height
around the rim. You
send
those two guys out more towards the perimeter, especially Yaxel. He's so athletic, and he's really quick on his feet, really good defensive pressure. I think Lendeborg's who I'm going with.
I couldn't agree more with that answer. I think that's a really good answer, and there's so much depth again from the Wolverines, like you were saying. So I think kind of having someone like Lendeborg on actually Foster right now instead of Boozer, I think that's a really smart move. Cheddar also checking into the game now as we resume from that media timeout. Ball inbounded. Kaysen's going to take it down court, passing it off to Lendeborg at left arc. Lendeborg's going to pass it left corner area to Johnson. Johnson's going to swing it back to the top of the key for Kaysen. Kaysen's going to drive it to the left. Taking a step back, spinning around, puts up a shot, but that'll get a hand from Gongba and not go in. Now Duke on the attack. Foster, their star player right now, is going to take it down and pass it to the top of the key for Gongba. Gongba's going to try and hesitate, look for something to open up, passing it left arc to a shot that's going to be quickly deflected by Lendeborg for a quick, fast drive by the Wolverines. Kaysen's going to take a layup there, but be fouled down, and he will be sent to the line.
And you see the Wolverines trying to move really quick in transition. That's something we saw Duke have a little bit of success with earlier in this first half. But now the Wolverines, you saw Lendeborg get the steal, passes it up to Trey McKinney, who finds LJ Kaysen, who gets fouled under the basket. And Wolverines need to take advantage of these free throws.
Kaysen puts that one up, and it's going to bounce off the backside of the rim and be no good there. I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of a shell shock performance right now from the Wolverines. We're kind of seeing them scramble around. They had such efficiency with speed earlier, but now it's looking a little sloppier, and they're not having complete possession of the ball right now, Jaden.
Yeah, and it's looking just flat out like Duke's controlling the tempo of this game
100%.
right now.
That one also is going to go up and ring around the rim. Easily recovered by Malik Brown, who's going to pass it back to Boozer. Boozer's going to pass it back to left arc for Evans. Evans going to pass it left corner to a tightly guarded Gongba. Gongba's going to bounce off in a battle with Johnson. He drives down left corner, but it's going to be taken away by Lendeborg, who's going to pass it off to McKinney, who launches it for a three that bounces off the rim and goes flying. In a battle for the rebound, Cheddar's going to go up against Gungma, and it's going to go flying out. And their refs are saying it's in possession of Duke. But Will Cheddar rushes to Dusty May on the sideline. Seems pretty upset with that call, Jaden.
Yeah, and it kind of sounded like the Duke fans were a little upset at first, so I feel like everyone kind of thought it was going the opposite way.
100%.
But you see the Blue Devils waiting to inbound the basketball, and they're getting possession right now.
All right, Elliot Cadeau checking back into the game for the Wolverines as well here. Ball inbounded for Duke. Caden Boozer is going to take it down court in a challenge with Cadeau. He's going to pass it right arc to Jimena. Jimena's going to pass it back up to the key for Boozer. Boozer's going to pass it off to his brother, who passes it back to Gungma, to a very open Jimena right in the left block of the paint, who puts it up with no troubles at all. 24-21 as Michigan starts to trail and Duke takes this lead, widening their point margin. In the right corner, Lendeborg on this offensive take for the Wolverines lets one fly, and it goes way over, airballing past the net. On this offensive drive for Duke, another three flies, but that's no good as well. Michigan quickly grabbing the rebound. Lendeborg on the ball, takes it to the right arc, passes it back up to McKinney at the key. Quick pass back to Lendeborg, right arc! And he shuts those airball chants down real quick with a three.
And a much-needed three-pointer. The Wolverines had not scored in over 3 minutes, but now knot the game up at 24.
100% anybody's game again, as Jaden just said. It's 24-all. Jimena takes it left arc, passes it back up to the key for Caden Boozer, who passes it off to an open Evans. Right arc, who lets one fly. That'll hit front rim, roll around, and be rebounded by the Wolverines. Lendeborg on the attack. Oh, pardon. Yeah, that is Lendeborg. He on the attack. Brings it left arc, steps back. Almost lets one fly, fakes it, and brings it to the top of the key for Johnson. Johnson passing it off to McKinney. McKinney's going to take it in the paint himself. Tripped up, lets one fly. That floater goes through. 26-24, Wolverines take the lead back.
And first points of the day for Trey McKinney, the Michigan freshman, who's been just an incredible spark off the bench for them.
Duke on the attack now, being tightly pressed around the three-point line. Gungma's gonna just pass it to the left arc for Jimena, who tries to connect with Evans, who almost, it appears, Jaden, two-hand shoves.
Yeah. That's what it kind of looked like. Off-ball foul, pushes Merez Johnson to the ground.
Wow.
That's gonna be called for the foul every single time.
Johnson falls hard there, Jaden.
Yeah, and you see him coming out of the game after that.
Personal foul.
You only hope he's okay.
You could hear it from how far up we are
I know.
in the Capital One Arena as well. That definitely had to hurt for Johnson. Inbounded by Lendeborg, connecting with Cadeau. Cadeau's going to take his time, crossing the Capital Showcase logo, letting the Wolverines make some motion in the key. Cheddar from right arc receives the ball and then travels. Duke erupting with signaling travels in the crowd. We're going to see the ball inbounded, an offensive attempt by Duke now. We're seeing really tight press as well by McKinney, Jaden.
Yeah, he's such a great defender.
Cameron Boozer, their do-it-all player, is going to take it himself past three shirts in Mays and put a left-handed layup up that falls through easily.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how good of a defender you are if you're Cameron Boozer.
He just made his way through three Wolverines. Michigan trying to make something happen, passes it around the arc. Elliot Cadeau bounce passes it at the top of the key for an open Adai Mara, who's going to pass it back outside to the three-point line as they are trying to make something happen. Left arc, McKinney's going to let one fly. That's going to hit off the rim and be easily rebounded by Cameron Boozer. In a connection with his brother, Caden and Cameron Boozer are going to pass it around at the right arc. They're going to swing it all the way over to an open Saar at the left arc to Jimena in left corner, who passes it right back out to right arc. Back to left arc for Saar, who lets one fly. That'll hit off the rim and be no good, but in a box-out attempt in a battle to get the rebound, Mara's going to get tangled up with Jimena. Jimena goes crashing, and that's going to be another foul on Mara. We're seeing Mara get in foul trouble extremely early into this matchup, Jaden. What are you thinking right now if you're Dusty May?
I mean, it's awful, to be totally honest with you, and you can't have that happen if you're the Wolverines, because he is such an asset for you on the rim, on the glass, rim protection, getting some of those easy layups. He fouled out in the game against Purdue. So did Merez Johnson. Those are two of their, that's 2/3 of the big three.
I was going to say.
So,
those are, if you take those players away, if they foul out, Jaden, this is a game where that's not acceptable. That is genuinely, as a Wolverine, as a Michigan fan, you are terrified because you have someone like Cameron Boozer who is so efficient in the paint. We saw him drive past those big three just now as if it was nothing. You take those three out of the game, Duke has complete dominance and control over this game.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you lose that presence, you just completely opened up the paint. And we're already seeing Duke being able to take advantage of some of that paint presence from the Wolverines. We noted that was going to be a huge advantage that the Wolverines had, but it doesn't look like it's really causing Duke so many problems right now. So then if you remove that, that just opens up more opportunities than we're already seeing them get. 3 personal fouls in the first, or there's 7 minutes still remaining in the first half, and you're already up to 3 personal fouls. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
I completely agree.
It's just unacceptable.
We're just barely past half of the first half.
Yeah.
We still have plenty of game to play.
Yep.
Plenty of game to play, and you're already in foul trouble. That definitely puts, as one of the strongest players in this Michigan men's basketball lineup, that definitely puts you in some trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it puts a strain on your defense because he stays in the game, and you're 2 fouls away from fouling out of this game. You need to play a different style of defense if you're playing to avoid the fouls. Naturally you're going to play a little bit less aggressive.
I was going to say,
if you're trying to avoid those fouls, and because at the same time, sometimes fouls get called that might not actually be fouls, but you got to do everything in your power to make every play you make not seem like a foul. You
100%.
Cannot afford any of the ticky-tacky fouls. You can't afford any of that. You're 2 fouls away from being out of this game and putting your team at a disadvantage that the Michigan Wolverines cannot afford. It's a tie game. That's exactly what you want to see if you're both of these teams at this point in the game right now. You want it to be a close game, but if you take away one of your best players, you're automatically putting yourself at a disadvantage in the second half, and there's still 7 minutes remaining left in this half. And then at the same time, on the other side of things, if you take him out of this game right now to try to preserve him for later in the game, because if it's a close game down the stretch, that's someone you want in the game. So if you're taking him out right now and trying to preserve some of that for later in this game, you're calling on a lot of other guys to step up and pick up some of his slack and pick up, you're calling on Yaxel Lendeborg and Merez Johnson a lot more in the paint now. And you're forcing some of those other guys to go defend the perimeter too. And, your whole team around you trying to pick up a lot of slack to keep themselves in this game. I mean, it depends on what Dusty May decides. Does he want him in now, or do you want to save him for later? I think you want to save him for later. You can't afford to foul out in the first half, that's for sure.
You can't. You couldn't have put that better, Jaden. I completely agree, especially as someone who's 7'3". You have to try and kind of go out of your way to make everything you do, even if it's not a foul, not look like a foul. You already have that spotlight on you being 7'3". Everything you do, every rebound, every deflection, it could be called as a foul when you have that height on your side. And again, it plays such a mental factor on you too, especially when you're in that foul trouble. And that's a game when you don't really, especially like this against Duke, where you don't really want to have to switch up that defensive style you're known to play by. It makes you play timid. It kind of plays mind games with you. I completely agree.
You're exactly right. It's totally the double-edged sword of the physical side of things and wanting to lay off a little, but also the mental side of things and being able to stay into the game knowing that you got to be a little more careful.
For sure. So with all that said, he is going to take the bench right now. I'm assuming they are preserving him for the second half, as we do have plenty of time still in this first half coverage. Inbounded by Duke on their offensive side. They're going to try and pass their star player, Cameron Boozer, and it's going to be intercepted by 2 Wolverines and quickly taken for their offensive attempt here. Cadeau's going to take his time, just now crossing the Capital Showcase logo at half court, passing it right arc to Lendeborg, who passes it right up to the top of the key for Cadeau. He passes it quick, no looker, back to Lendeborg at right arc. He's going to let one fly, and that's not going to go through. Duke now on the attack is going to have Foster drive down right side of the paint who passes it back off to... That's Tassar, who passes it back to Foster, and that's not going to go. Now Michigan again on the attack. It's going to go to Cadeau, who's at left arc, who swings it right arc, connecting to Namari, who's going to pass it again to left arc for Cadeau, who puts up 3, and that doesn't go in as well. We're just seeing back and forth misses from both teams right now, Jaden.
Yeah, and Elliot Cadeau 0 for 3 from the three-point line.
All right, there we saw Foster take down the ball for Duke, passing it off to their star player, Cameron Boozer, who went up in an attempt to dunk the ball, but was fouled by Lendeborg, so he will be sent to the line, which is not great for the Wolverines, Jaden, because so far today he has been perfect on his free throws.
Yeah, not only is he perfect, but Duke as a whole is perfect from the free throw line, so you don't want to send any of them.
That'll be Lendeborg's first personal foul for today. So he is not in foul trouble yet for the Wolverines,
That's
which
a very
obviously
good sign for them.
Is huge considering Mara is, and they do need that height in the key, especially with someone huge physically and also technically. I think we might have jinxed him, though, because Boozer lets that one fly, and it does not fall through.
Maybe we did jinx him.
Right, I guess I did. Sorry, Boozer. Practicing his shot, trying to shake off frustrations from that last one. Bounces it 3 times, spins it around, bounces it again, bend to the knees, lets it fly, and that one falls through. Boozer, just as a freshman, it is so impressive how he's able to shake off that pressure and those mistakes in such large settings. Inbounded by the Wolverines, Cadeau passes it to right arc to Lendeborg. Back to Cadeau at center court, top of the key. He's going to pass it off to Johnson after he dribbles left. We're back in the key. Back to Cadeau. He drives it. No looker pass to the right corner for Johnson, who tries to drive down. And Jimena just there says no. Rips it out of his hands. Called a jump ball, though. And, of course, it goes in the favor of Duke because you hear the crowd erupt for him.
I mean, this crowd is insane. It sounds like it's a Duke home game.
It is. It's funny. I mean, although it is a neutral-sided game, we usually do see in all of the away games for the Wolverines kind of that Michigan presence, that Michigan Wolverine fan base that seems to be everywhere really take over and dominate every single arena they touch. Right now, Jaden, I would argue that we're seeing a lot more Blue Devils.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more Blue Devils, and it also kind of feels like we're in a Duke section.
Yeah, right below us there are a lot of Duke fans, so if the Nat mics are a little crazier at some moments, that might be why. Sent to the free throw line, but none of those fall. Michigan now on the offensive attack. Gale's going to try and pass it around the three-point line with Cadeau. Cadeau passing it in the paint. Left block for Johnson, and he puts it up and slams that one in. Michigan taking the lead again, 28-27. As we approach halftime, this matchup couldn't get tighter.
Elliot Cadeau looks very injured right now. You could see him hobbling around towards the Michigan bench while the play was going on, just waiting for someone to stop the game. And he just limps off and kind of jumps off towards the bench.
He's currently kind of tapping his ankle against the floor. Assisted by several players and staff.
No, actually. I know. I didn't see what happened, but you could see him right in front of the Michigan bench on the far side of the three-point line, just kind of hobbling around and waiting for the play to stop. And, I mean, now he's out the game. LJ Kaysen comes in, their backup point guard, and you hope Elliot Cadeau's okay.
Hope that's someone we definitely need to see come back in the second half, especially with Mara himself already in some return trouble for the second half. Cheddar's going to be on right block, putting on tight coverage to Gungma, but Gungma just lets it fly, and that one falls through. 29-28. Inbounded by the Wolverines. Kaysen and Gale are trying to make something happen, passing it around the arc to a Burnett, who lets one fly right arc, and that doesn't go in. But Gale with the quick rebound passes it back up to Burnett again. Now out to Lendeborg at the arc. He tries to drive in the paint, but is stopped. Passing it back on the arc to an open Kaysen, who takes an angled dribble right side of the paint to the block. Lets it rip, and that falls through for 2. 30-29. Michigan up by just 1 point. Foster now taking it down for Duke. Passing it to the top of the key for their star player, Cameron Boozer. who passes it off to Saar, but Saar looks like they got tangled up in a little foul trouble there, Jaden?
Yeah, it was a quick whistle from the referee.
It almost seemed like that whistle was called before the contact was truly made, but that foul will fall on Will Cheddar. That is his first personal foul of the game. This might be the first game I've seen where Cheddar gets in deeper foul, or Cheddar's not in deeper foul trouble than Mara so far.
Honestly. Duke in the double bonus, so now all of these fouls sending them to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Gungba, who's been such a presence tonight for Duke everywhere on the court. He's going to bend his knees, put that one up, and it's going to hit front rip. Not enough on it and bounce off. Easily recovered and rebounded by the Wolverines. Kaysen with his time standing on the Capitol Showcase logos. Going to try and let Michigan get open, run some routes, and recuperate here. Back up to Kaysen after Burnett was unsuccessful right arc. He's going to try and take on Jimena by himself. At the top of the key, shot clock running with just 4 seconds left. He drives it right angle dribble, right block, lets a layup rip, and that goes in. Quickly inbounded by Duke.
LJ Kaysen coming off the bench for Elliot Cadeau in that backup point guard role, up to 7 points, just playing with so much aggression, driving to the basket.
Foster, the do-it-all player right now for Duke's going to take it himself, try and do what LJ Kaysen just did, and he's going to be unsuccessful. Quick counter by the Wolverines. Now Lendeborg wants his own try at it. He's going to drive down the paint and be fouled.
And now this is when you hear the Wolverines fans start to erupt.
The maze is starting to slowly take over Capital One Arena, even though it might be dominated by the Blue Devils from Duke. But we're finally kind of seeing Michigan feel like they're taking control of the game again, something we haven't seen since the beginning of this half right now, Jaden.
Yeah, and it's taken a little while for the Wolverines to kind of settle in and start playing their game of basketball for a long time in the beginning of this first half. The Wolverines were just kind of playing catch up to Duke's tempo. Duke was really setting the pace of this game, and that's why they were able to get someone like Caleb Foster going so well. They were able to catch him in open scenarios and, you know, really just control how this game was going. Michigan starting to take some of that momentum, put it in their favor, and really start playing Wolverines basketball, really controlling the pace on their own and, you know, kind of setting up plays for themselves. And one of the factor that I think has really come into them taking over some of the momentum in this game is LJ Kaysen. He has just been so incredible coming off the bench for them, and especially just this season, the past few games, he's averaging 8.2 on the season, but in the past 3 games, he's averaging 14.6. So he's just had a huge increase in production recently, and especially, you know, you hate to see anyone get hurt, but with Elliot Cadeau kind of have that issue, he was hobbling off the court. Being able to have someone like LJ Kaysen come in to fill that role, you know, whether Elliot's able to come back in this game or not, just having that presence, being able to come off the bench and fill those shoes. We saw LJ Kaysen drive down into the paint, get some of those tough layups in
100%.
You know, in double coverage, triple coverage, still able to get some of those to fall and get himself to the free throw line too. He's been huge for, you know, kind of fueling this momentum shift that we've seen in the past few minutes for the Wolverines.
I couldn't agree more, and it's so crucial to have a player like Kaysen who can step in on these moments and still be effective and efficient. It's like we said, it all goes back to the Wolverines, why they're having so much success this year. Yes, obviously their starting 5 are such great players, but it's that depth. The depth this team provides is truly unbelievable and uncomparable to these other teams we are seeing. We're seeing a lot of similar a lot of same names as you're hearing this whole broadcast for the Duke Blue Devils. Yep. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's so much depth from the Wolverines that they can continue to do those substitutions. And an update on Cadeau, he is currently in the team huddle, putting pressure on both of his feet, standing up. So we're hoping to maybe see him come back into this game second half with only 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in this half. We're assuming he might not see the court again, but hoping he comes back again for this second half coverage of this #1 and #3 ranked matchup.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I doubt we'll see Elliot Cadeau come back into this first half, hoping he's back for the third or the second. But like you said about kind of some of that depth, when you have a team like Duke where it's a little bit more predictable who's going to be the scorers for you. It's easier to defend and it's easier to get under control. We haven't really, Caleb Foster has 8 points. He had 8 points the last time we were talking about 5 minutes ago. And then for the Wolverines, it's a different person every game that could have a big game for them. You honestly never know. You can't prepare heading into this game who it's going to be for Michigan. Every single person in this rotation can step up and have a big game. Right now, it's Yaxel Lendeborg, who we expect, but then it's also LJ Kaysen filling in that presence off the bench.
100%. So we're seeing now, speaking of him, Lendeborg's on the line for the Wolverines. He's going to bounce it twice, bending the knees, put it up, and that'll fall through. Nothing but net for Lendeborg on his first shot.
And that's good for his 16th point of the game, and still only in the first half, just with that much production from him.
2 dribbles, bending the knees, puts it up. That will hit front rim. Not enough gas on that one, and rebound easily by Jaden Boozer. Jaden Boozer is going to take his time and take it down court. He's going to pass it off to his brother at the top of the key, who's going to drive right. Surrounded by 3 Wolverines. Put one off. Hits wrong on the block. Rebounded, though, by Jimena, who puts one up by himself, easily going in for 2. Score is now 33-31. Michigan Wolverines with the small lead. Kaysen's going to take it down court, passing left arc to Gale. Back up to the key to Kaysen. He's going to pass it right arc to an open Will Cheddar, who puts it up for 3, wraps around the rim, and that's going to be no good. Easily rebounded by Gungba. Gungba's going to pass it off to Jaden Boozer at right arc. Back to him at the top of the key. As he passes it, launches it actually to right block for Boozer, who's going to be swatted away by Kaysen. Now he has the ball in the offensive end for the Wolverines. On left arc, he's going to take his time, kind of wear out the clock a little here. Shot clock just approaching 10 seconds though, so he's going to have to make something happen quick. Approaches the top of the key again. Ready to take on Gungba. And it's going to be swatted away by Gungba and pushed out of bounds. But it looks like it was deflected by Duke, but is called off of the Wolverines for a Duke inbound there, Jaden. That looks like it actually hit off Gungba.
I thought the same thing.
From an unbiased perspective, that looked to hit off Gungba, but it is going to be a Duke inbound. I guess Kaysen might be regretting a little bit how he let the clock run there. But guess who checks back into the game? Elliot Cadeau.
To my surprise, but happy to see him back out there for the Wolverines.
Duke now on their attack. Cameron Boozer's going to try and do a spin move on left block. Launches it up, but Gale's able to get a piece of it, and the ball goes flying out of bounds. However, again, going to be called not in favor of the Wolverines, and it's going to be a Duke inbound. Michigan's starting to look super frustrated with all of these calls being deflected off of them, Jaden.
Yeah, and it looks like, we said Michigan was getting some of that momentum back. It's looking like it's switching more in the favor of Duke. Just a couple sloppy plays from the Wolverines there.
100%. Boozer's going to inbound it all the way deep to Gungma, who's going to pass it back up to Brown at the top of the key, who passes it quickly off to Jaden Boozer at right arc, who passes it to his brother right block, who lets one easily fly, hitting perfectly off the glass for a 2-pointer. 33-33 now. Michigan looking frustrated. Boozer obviously a big physical presence. They're frustrated that no offensive fouls have been called on him yet in this game. Michigan now on their drive is going to have it with Burnett, who's going to try and pass it off to an open Lendeborg right arc. He's going to try and drive in, but no luck from tight coverage from Jimena. Spins off of him and tries to release a floater, but that's not going to go. Quickly on the counter, Jaden Boozer with speed takes it down right side court. Passing it back up to the key to Gungba. Swinging it left arc to Jimena, who passes it to the left elbow for Brown, who's going to be quickly swatted out the ball by Cadeau, but unfortunately rolling back to the feet of Jimena. Jimena quickly covered by Cadeau, who jumps flying towards him, but misses, so he releases a 3, but that's not going to go. We're hearing a lot of scrappiness now from the crowd as the players themselves are getting a little scrappy. Dusty May trying to get his team to cool off and let this clock run. 8 seconds left in this half. Duke fans rising to their feet. Amari Burnett puts up a 3, and that wraps around, and it's no good. And a foul's going to be called on that rebound. Gungma sent to the line with just 0.8 seconds left.
A lot of unnecessary fouls from the Wolverines.
We're seeing Dusty May kind of put his hands, like pushing him towards the ground, like slow down, calm down. He's really trying to keep this Wolverine team level-headed. They are really just letting these frustrations seep out right now, Jaden.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just the environment surrounding this game, the stakes are so high. And just a couple of those sloppy plays, I mean, you can't get into foul trouble.
100%. Gungma's on the line. He puts it up, and that easily goes down. Capital One Arena erupting with noise from the Duke fans on their feet. He's going to get the ball back from the ref. Dribbling it 2 times, bending the knees, releases it, and that one will bounce off front rim, back rim, and fall through. Michigan quickly inbounds it, but no good. And that'll conclude the first half of this duel in the district, the Edwards-Jones Capital Showcase. 35-33, Duke Blue Devils so far leading this game at the half. Jaden, what are your main takeaways so far from the first half of this number 1 and number 3 matchup?
I mean, I just think the momentum switches so quick in this game. You see both these teams go on runs. I mean, you know, these are 2 teams that are more than capable, but Michigan has not scored a point in the last 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Duke goes on a 6-0 run to end the half, and that's what puts them ahead at halftime. Just so much momentum switch, and it's going to be whatever team can sustain that for the longest period of time in the second half that's going to come away with the win. But, I mean, I'm just very impressed with, on the Wolverine side of things, very impressed with Yaxel Lendeborg. Has 16 points in the first half. I mean, just beyond impressive from him. He's made 2 3-pointers, and then obviously gets himself up to 16 points in the first half. Just incredible. And then on, you know, Duke's side of things, I'm just so impressed, not only with Cameron Boozer, because that's what we expected coming into this game. He was a little bit quiet to start out, but up to 9 points. But then that first half of the first half, I'm so impressed with Caleb Foster. He picked up all the slack that Duke needed him to in that first half of the first half. And then from there, Cameron Boozer's just been able to take over from them. And the combo of them two for Duke has been incredible so far. And that's what's given Duke the lead in this first half. But
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Foster, he's a player who averages around 8.5 points per game. He's solely only halfway through that first half had amounted that already.
Yep.
He truly has been such a standout player for Duke, and he's really showing that he can be an effective and key component and contributor to Duke in these moments. It's not just the Cameron Boozer show, is kind of what he's showing everyone in this arena right now. And then honestly, on the flip side of that, we highly anticipated this matchup that we were going to see today between Caleb Foster and Elliot Cadeau. Elliot Cadeau, honestly, after that little injury, after that little kind of walking off, looking a little unsteady, we're not seeing that kind of physicality that we typically do from him. We're not seeing him kind of put up as precise, pristine of shots that he normally does. Like, his threes are usually always going in. We're not seeing as many of those opportunities in the first place as we usually are. We're not seeing as many of those kind of assists. He's not really being the quarterback of this team that he usually is right now, that do-it-all player. We're not really seeing that right now, Jaden.
No, we're not seeing it at all. And Elliot Cadeau's only taken 3 shots so far today, all 3-pointers, and he's missed every single one of them. He has 0 points so far in this game, and I think that's a huge piece, especially because we were talking about the Purdue game. Elliot Cadeau had a huge game against Purdue, and just coming into this one now with 0 points in the first half. I will say, though, after that Purdue game, Elliot Cadeau did not have a huge first half. He, I think, finished the first half against Purdue with 2 points, and then comes back in the second half and just erupts. And so that's definitely going to be a key to watch out for in the second half, to see how he bounces back. But like we were talking about a little bit, I was so impressed with LJ Kaysen coming off the bench, filling in that role. LJ Kaysen had 7 points off the bench in this first half, and when your star point guard has 0 points and you can get that production to follow off the bench, absolutely huge for Michigan.
100%. I love how Dusty May is not afraid to bench Elliot Cadeau for LJ Kaysen. He truly has trust in someone who's been on the bench just to put him in. And he comes off the bench explosive and hot every single time. He really is not afraid to back down, and he's been so consistent throughout the season, but especially in this game, he's showing that it doesn't matter who it's against. It doesn't matter if it's Duke. I'm going to come out and show that I can be that substitution for Elliot Cadeau, who's such a key contributor. And again, that do-it-all player for the Wolverines so many times.
Yeah. I mean, just a great all-around performance of, like we said, the depth that Michigan is showing.
100%.
Anyone can step up at any point, and we're going to need more of that in the second half for the Wolverines if they want to come out on top. Only down by 2 points, and I will say the Wolverines, every time they've been losing at half this season, they haven't lost a single one of those games. They've come back every single time they were down at half, found a way to dig themselves out and win that game. And, you know, if I trust any team to get themselves out of a deficit and come on top with the win, it's this Michigan Wolverines team. They're #1 in the nation for a reason, and I think we're going to see why in the second half.
100%. It wouldn't be a Michigan athletics event if it wasn't giving you a heart attack if you're a Wolverines fan watching this game. Every single game you watch, especially for basketball this year, has been first half gives you the most stress, possibly heart attack inducing, but then second half they really shine. So it'll be interesting to see how players, again, Mara, we're seeing him in foul trouble already. It'll be interesting to see kind of how Dusty May navigates, how he's going to play him, how he's going to use him. When is he going to put him right off the bat in this half as it starts? Is he going to try and preserve him towards the end as it gets closer? Again, Duke leading by 2 right now. Are they going to try and put him in right off the bat? It's something interesting because we're not seeing Cameron Boozer necessarily be shut down as much as he was in the beginning of the half. When he's gone, it really is a serious presence that when you eliminate that, and if he falls out of this game, it could be trouble for the Wolverines. Cameron Boozer does need that physicality, that actual boulder to be in the way as he tries to put shots off in the paint.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and we definitely could see that amplified more in the second half if Dusty May keeps Mara out for a while. But I will say the fact that he has been out for, you know, a large portion of this second half of the first half, it's only a 2-point game. The Wolverines have been able to keep themselves in this game. So that'll be huge. But I think exactly like you said, it'll be a huge question whether, you know, Mara comes back in right away, because the Wolverines, a lot of times they do, you know, they start the first and the second half exactly the same. Usually they run 100%. Their starting lineup right back out there. So Mara is part of that starting lineup. So I do kind of have a sneaking suspicion that we will see Mara out there to start the second half, but it's just a matter of how long he stays in there. I think if he picks up that 4th foul pretty quickly, he's going out, because you're not risking to have him out for the end of this game, because it's going to be close for a long time.
100%. You can't have a player like Mara who's such a key contributor and a key component to this team and to their success. And again, especially such a big presence in the paint itself, right on the block. You need him in. You need to preserve him. So if he does pick up a foul really early on, I could see May for sure pulling him and saving him for those last few moments as the game concludes. But again, this team is so creature of habit, and we see that same starting 5 day in and day out. Start of the game, start of the second half, we see it. I'm expecting, obviously, for Elliot Cadeau and, again, as we're assuming right now, Mara to be starting in the second half. But it kind of will be interesting because, again, there's kind of a mental block and mindset shift when you're in such foul trouble, especially when you're playing such a physical team like Duke and such a strong offensive team like Duke. You don't want to change the way you play defense. You don't want to play worse, but you also don't want to put yourself in that foul trouble. So you're trying to manage not backing down or playing down, but still keeping that physicality up, but obviously not enough to be called fouls on you, even if they aren't intentional. And then obviously you see Elliot Cadeau, who was kind of shaken up and limping previously, who's come back in the game. But when he went back, concluding that half, he didn't look at full strength. He looked a little scrambled. So we're kind of hoping as this halftime gives him that opportunity to kind of recoup so we can see him at full strength. Because again, I don't think if you're a Michigan Wolverines fan, you should be scared by the both of those things happening. This team has proven to be a second half type of team. And I definitely think Dusty May is giving quite a speech in there right now to kind of get him fired up for that. And I wouldn't be shocked if John Shayer was also giving a heck of a halftime speech in there as well for the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And I think one thing that we know about Michigan sports as a whole is they love to call their teams a second half team. Not only basketball, but football too. And, you know, that's a term that's thrown out a lot when you're watching Michigan sports. So like you said, Dusty May, and they're giving an insane halftime speech, I'm sure. Down by only 2. This is anyone's game.
100%.
I mean, this game was back and forth the entire time. Tons of lead changes, and I'm sure we're going to see something very similar in the second half.
Right. I mean, it couldn't be, again, a Michigan athletics event if it wasn't for the second half having all the action, which is unfortunate for us because we won't be on the call for
I know.
it. But we'll be nerve-wrackingly
watching.
sitting next to Evan and Zach, who will be your lovely reporters for this second half coverage. We'll be nervously watching alongside them. That concludes our first half coverage of this duel in the district, the Edward Jones Capital Showcase. Again, 35-33, Michigan trailing by 2, Duke up as we speak.
Yep.
Coverage of your second half will be underway in about 7 minutes. Again, I'm Gabby Miller. Alongside me is Jaden Fode. Thank you so much for listening to us, and stay tuned again in 7 minutes. Zach Warshaw and Evan Anderson will be live with your second half coverage of this number 1 and number 3 ranked matchup.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Capital One Arena. My name is Zach Warshaw alongside Evan Anderson. We're about 2 minutes away from the start of the second half of this Edward Jones Capital Showcase presented by Bad Boy Mowers. What a first half we saw. Evan, Duke's winning 35-33 as we're about ready to return. But what did you see in that first half that you want to go over again?
I mean, first and foremost, I just want to say, this matchup has been everything it's been advertised to be. 1 versus 3 on a neutral court. It's just been some incredible basketball. And I think the first and foremost I want to say, they're the in KenPom, they're the number 1 and number 3 defenses, and that has shown up today. The defensive play during this first half has been incredible. Both teams have been able to switch incredibly well, react to the pace of play incredibly well, space really well. Both defenses have definitely been the shining point in this game so far. But I also, in my opinion, it's been lovely to see both these top teams still able to play the game that they've been playing all season despite playing another incredible team. On Michigan's side of the ball, they've been able to press the advantage in transition like they normally run their offenses through. And then with Duke, they've been able to spread the ball out a ton in that first half like they have normally done this season. So it's kind of it's two sides of the same coin, in my opinion, where you have the defenses playing especially well, but at the same time, the offense has been able to get in their grooves. It's been interesting to see also that no team really has been able to pull ahead. Every time a team seems to go on a run, the other team's defense responds really well and is able to shorten that run.
No, absolutely. As you said, the largest lead in this game has been 3 points, pretty much, by either squad leading at 1 point or another.
Yep.
It's also kind of interesting seeing Michigan getting a little bit of foul trouble.
A little bit.
Adai Mara got 3 fouls, and then they fouled with 0.8 seconds left.
Yep.
That really gave Duke the 2-point lead heading into the second half. So if you're Michigan, what do you got to do to tighten up? And while you've played borderline perfect so far, what do you think you got to do to tighten up and really give yourself a shot to win it? Because if you keep doing stupid fouls, to be honest with you, it's just never going to work.
No, it's exactly that. If I'm Dusty May in the locker room, I'm saying we need to clean it up in the foul trouble. In terms of Adai Mara, he is a guy that Michigan needs when it comes to the last 5 minutes of the game here. They cannot have him fouling out. He needs to do that. And I think there are some. The other big thing that I've seen is Michigan has not shot the ball. The 3-ball, Duke has been able to shoot a little bit well this half. Towards the end of the half, it evened out statistics-wise, but Duke was able to get a lot more cleaner, a lot more wide-open looks from the 3-point line. Michigan needs to clean that up. In terms of Duke, if I'm John Shire, I'm saying I think in my opinion, they need to up the pace of play because there's been a couple times where Michigan has had this press and been able to disrupt a lot of Duke's plays that they've started to run beginning of the play. So, I'm really excited for the first half. I will say the one stat that is kind of relevant here, Michigan this season is 5-0 when trailing at halftime. So, obviously down by 2 here, and they've done a great job this season of making adjustments going into the second half.
That's a great stat. You brought that up so many times when we were preparing for this. So interesting to see if they'll make that 6-0 or drop to 5-1 as we're just about ready to get started for this second half here from Capital One Arena. Again, thank you to Jaden, Fode, and Gabby Miller for the first half of this. Again, this is WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan versus Duke basketball at the Capital Showcase. Duke to inbound for the start of the second half. We're just waiting for the referee to give Cameron Boozer the ball, and we'll be underway.
For the Blue Devils, all their starters from the first half on the court right now. For Michigan, all the starters except for Adai Mara, like we said, in foul trouble right now. So Roddy Gale is in for him right now, who has been seeing a lot of minutes in this game early, which is in the past couple games, he has not been one of the first guys off the bench, but this game, he was the very first guy off the bench. So
you'll see more minutes now for sure as Duke inbounds it, and they'll go to work. Caleb Foster has the ball and moves over to the right wing. Pass it over to Gungba, Back over to Boozer on the left wing. Boozer back to Gungba in the paint, right underneath it. He's swarmed by 3 Michigan Wolverines, loses the ball, but there's going to be a foul called on the play. Just 22 seconds into this one. Again, right back to what we've seen.
Again, they're going to really be in this game long term, late in this game. They are going to need to clean up these fouls. You cannot, especially on a play like that, right under. You can't be doing that.
Absolutely not. As Patrick Gungba is going to go to the line here. Gungba shooting about 68% as the first one is up and no good. Yep. Good old announcer's jinx right there, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, he's been a huge presence on the interior for Duke so far this season. Great lob threat. Obviously, other end of the court, but great at blocking shots.
The second attempt is up. That one is good. That'll make it a 3-point lead, 36-33 Duke, with 19:38 to play in this one. And already we're going to see a substitution. Malik Brown's going to come back into the game for the Blue Devils as the ball is taken up the court. Yaxel Lendeborg with it for the Wolverines. On the left wing, he'll throw it to Cadeau, or LJ Casing, excuse me. No, that is Cadeau. He's
another early foul
on
here.
That one. Fouled on Duke.
So far, the pace of play this second half has been much, much slower. Just already on the first two possessions, we've seen
we've had
two possessions
fouls
out
in 30
and
seconds.
Exactly.
That one's not a shooting foul, though, so just still Michigan ball. Lendeborg with it. Over to Cadeau in the left wing. Sends it in for Johnson Jr. is underneath. He's blocked by a couple Blue Devils. That one's put up, deflected away. And Duke has it. Dame Sarr with the ball at half court. He'll hand it over to Caleb Foster, who takes it across the line. Foster on the right wing. He's got Cadeau in his face. Moves it over to Malik Brown at the top of the key. Brown trying to direct traffic. Passes over to the corner. Is deflected.
Great
out of
hand.
bounds by Lendeborg.
I believe that was great hands there to be able to deflect that pass. He read that perfectly, read his eyes perfectly, was able to react there in the passing lane, get that out of there, break up the play a little bit.
Roddy Gale Jr. down there with the neon highlighter shoes as he likes to, he's got some interesting footwear most of the time.
Oh, yeah. He loves it. That's his staple.
Boozer with the ball at the top of the key. He's got Roddy Gale in his face. Now to free throw line. Down to Sarr at the bottom. Puts it up. That one's good. 38-33 Duke.
That's what makes Cameron Boozer so good on this Duke team. Even when he's not prolific scoring, he can dish it up like that.
Absolutely. And he's just able to knock it off the glass and in super easily. As now Michigan has on the other end. Lendeborg in the right corner. Moving in. Spin move. Right-handed up is off the back. No good. He's going to be rebounded, but there's a whistle. And it's going to say he's fouled on that shot. It's going to go on Malik Brown.
Yaxel Lendeborg having a great game, as is kind of a staple for him so far this season. 16 points, shooting pretty well from the field too, percentage-wise, but only 50% from the free throw line. So if Michigan wants to stay in this game, we need to make some more free throws.
Lendeborg bends his knees, puts that one up. First attempt is good. 38-34 now. Again, as you mentioned, much slower start to the second half as we saw in the first, is already 3 fouls combined. Lendeborg gets the ball back for a second attempt. He'll bend his knees, put it up, and that one is good.
See, and that pace of play, that plays a little bit more into Duke's favor. They like to have a lot of spacing on offense, run a lot of plays. Like, spacing is the key thing here for Duke, and Michigan's a little bit more in transition offense, so I think Michigan's really going to want to look here to increase the pace of play.
Boozer with it now in the paint, surrounded by 3 Wolverines, trying to get it out. Finally gets it out to Brown at the right wing. He move inside on the right. It's put up and blocked away by Morris Johnson Jr. What an absolute denial as he hit that one back to the scorer's table at center court. It will remain Duke basketball, but what a rejection.
I want to say even incredible effort there by Elliot Cadeau, too. Obviously, the block ends the play from Morez, but Elliot Cadeau had incredible defense there. Great way to contest.
Boozer on the logo. He's got 5 on the shot clock now on the right wing, and move it over to Evans, who takes a long 3. That one's good. What a shot there as the shot clock was running out to make it 41-35.
Beautiful catch and shoot
Evans.
there. Beautiful catch and shoot.
Poetry in motion. Michigan now on the other end.
Again, Michigan's.
Moving in.
I was going to say
Amari Burnett moving in, and then he's fouled, although
Duke's defense this half, I've seen, they've been able to do a good job of to disrupt Michigan's spacing. I know we were just talking about how Duke's specialty on offensive spacing. They've been able to disrupt some of Michigan's spacing so far this half. A lot of these plays looks like there's a little bit of congestion here with a lot of the Wolverines.
Ball is inbounded by Michigan. In the corner, Cadeau. Now to Roddy Gale at the top of the key. Over to Lendeborg in the left wing. 11 on the shot clock. Lendeborg passes it in to Johnson Jr. Right outside the paint. He'll turn right, move in, puts it up with the right hand. No good. Rebounded. Got by Malik Brown of Duke, and they'll go the other way.
Duke has done a great job out-rebounding Michigan so far.
In the corner, long 3 there by Evans, who is about as close to the baseline as you can get, and that one will knock off and be rebounded and taken up by Lendeborg. Lendeborg right through the middle. He'll put his shoulder in the chest of Boozer, and there's going to be a foul called on the play.
Yeah, it looks like he lost his foot in there, but was able to draw the foul there. But going back to that three-point play, that's a lot of what we've seen so far from Duke in the first half. They've been taking a lot of shots from this at left corner on both, in first half and so far this half.
Inbound to Lendeborg, over to Namari Burnett. Now Johnson Jr., top of the key three. That one's good from Morris Johnson Jr. to make it 41-38 and back to a three-point game with 16:50 to play.
Morris Johnson, he's been shooting 33% from the three-point. That's huge to be able to come in the game and make that three-pointer right there.
Isaiah Evans with it now for Duke, and we're getting an off-ball foul called here.
What I was trying to say in the break and play earlier is Duke has done a great job at beating Michigan in their own game so far in the first half. They've been out-rebounding them, which is not something that you can say for a lot of Michigan games so far this season. Normally, they're the ones out-rebounding their opponents, but so far, Duke has done a great job on the glass.
Couldn't agree more, Evan. Thank you for pointing that out. As Duke will have it again, Fears with it. Or Evans, Fears. Isaiah Evans with it, corner three now, no good. That'll be rebounded by the Wolverines. Will be taken up by Yax.
Little action underneath there from Damisar and Elliott Cadeau. Some bodies hit the floor.
Lendeborg, deep three on the right wing, off the back iron, no good. Rebound fought for, deflected out of bounds by Roddy Gale, and that'll be Duke basketball with 16:16 to play.
Incredible effort there from Roddy Gale to try and get up there and get the board. He came crashing from the top of the key, so I think he's just a little bit too much momentum there to try and get that errant shot.
A little too much mustard on that dog.
Mm-hmm. As they say.
As they say. As Evan Anderson said about 10 minutes ago. Caleb Foster with it now for Duke. Now Malik Brown, he'll pass it over to Dame Sarr. Underneath the basket, Boozer wide open, but slapped away by a couple of players. It's going all over the court. Attempt to be kept in bounds. It'll be off of Caleb Foster and Michigan basketball. What a sequence of events, Evan.
What a sequence. I was just going to say, when I saw Cameron Boozer going up for that layup, I assumed he was making it, and I was about to commend him, and I still will commend him. Like I was saying earlier, Cameron Boozer, he's been the star on this Blue Devils team. He has 9 points. He's not been a head above the rest of this Duke roster like he has normally been this season, but I was going to commend him there. Even when he's not scoring, he's making these incredible cuts. He's showing his high basketball IQ even as a freshman. But then on the other side, to commend Michigan there, Michigan's front court, their big three, have been able to slow down Boozer a lot there. And like you saw, I mean, he got blocked, I think, twice on back-to-back attempts there. And then also on a little bit of miscommunication there on this side of the sideline, because it looked like Malik Brown was going for that out of the ball initially, because I think he thought it was off of Michigan, because he was kind of relaxed as he was going to save that ball out of bounds. Then he ended up actually tipping out of bounds himself. I think it still was going to be Michigan's ball before Malik Brown touched it, but then that just sealed the deal, and now it's going to be Michigan possession.
I couldn't agree more, Evan, as we enter our first media timeout of the second half. So once again, we find ourselves in a 3-point game with Duke leading 41-38 with 15:57 to play. Evan, other than the play we just analyzed, what have you seen overall in this first half that's kind of contributed to a slower pace of play than we saw in the first?
I don't want to sound like a broken record. Is that I don't want to keep.
Right, you got it.
I don't want to keep drilling the same point, but Duke's defense, because I think a big part of why a lot of I'm going to highlight Michigan. A big part of why a lot of Michigan games seem to have a very quick pace of play is because Michigan runs their entire offense through transition. They love getting points off transition, but Duke's defense this half has been able to disrupt that. They've been able to, after either Duke scores or when Michigan gets a defensive rebound, they've been able to find their men very quickly and prevent a lot of these long passes down the court to get points in transition. And then that forces Michigan to then start running plays in the opposite end of the court. And Duke's defense has done a great job of disrupting that. Now, Michigan is starting to build a little bit of momentum, it seems, these past couple possessions. And it also helps that Duke is 0 for 4 in their last field goal. So I think it's really been Duke's defense being able to disrupt the timing. I think Michigan's offense hasn't quite been able to click, but it's been offset by the fact that Michigan's defense, as we saw in that very hectic and wild last sequence there, Michigan's defense, as they've been done all season, has been elite and been able to keep them in this game.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Evan, as the Bad Boy Mowers lawn 3-point competition. I don't exactly know what's going on in the background. They're going to exit the floor.
The halftime performance was elite.
Oh, the halftime performance was great. We saw multiple dogs doing like backflips and frisbees and whatnot.
Not quite as good as Victor the Frisbee dog, I will say.
But dude, who is?
Nah, it's impossible. You can't live up to that.
Unbelievable. That's like comparing, I don't know. I can't even think of
I will say Daimara back on the court, so I think he is really going to need. You could see that, like last game, Purdue was able to get to him a little bit. They were able to get him a little bit fired up, and they were able to cause him to foul out in that game. And then you could see the emotion starting to boil over a little bit, and when he fouled out, and you saw when he got his third foul, like halfway through the first half, he was starting to get a little bit angry there. So I think Dusty May is really going to probably told him, like, we really need you late in this game. We need you to tighten up a little bit and really focus on staying in this game.
Yeah, with just under 16 minutes left, obviously kind of risky putting him in with 3 fouls, just like a little low-key, low Kensington. But you got to just trust him that he'll stay out of foul trouble because you need that big frame in there.
Oh, yeah.
As he'll get the ball, throw it over to LJ Kaysen. We're back underway. Kaysen from the left corner. He'll move over to the wing, back to Elliot Cadeau at the top of the key, over to Roddy Gale on the right side. Back to Daimar, right outside the paint on the right side, trying to get past. Got 8 seconds left, puts up a spin move. That one's good. The right-handed floater.
That is why Dusty May has him back on the court, taking that risk of being in foul trouble. That ability to get over Boozer, especially to get that over him, it just shows how impressive his length is.
41-40 now as Duke has the ball. Duke has not scored in over 2.5 minutes at this point. They'll throw it over to the far left side. Evans has it. Now they're moving it around the horn a little bit. Over to Dame Sar, who'll drive right through the middle and slam it down, but it's rejected as it was going down. What a deflection by Mara, and that one's going to be flung out of bounds.
I think they call a foul. I think they called a foul first. Yeah, they called a foul.
Sorry, I was so distracted by the absolute rejection.
And again,
by Mara.
I love the timing of us saying, it's a little bit risky for Daimar to be back so early in the game, and immediately it's just a nice little hook shot over Boozer, and then immediately blocks Dame Sar right there.
Yeah, as you were kind of alluding to, Evan, he's just such a force to be reckoned with. It's insane.
Also, Boozer on 3 fouls, so that is also something to keep track of.
Both teams having foul trouble with 14:50 to play as Michigan now has it. LJ Case on the right wing. Corner 3. No good. Rebound fought for. Duke has it.
Again, that's what Duke has been doing all game.
3-pointer now for Duke from Evans off the front iron. No good. Back to Dame Sar. Goes right up the middle. Right-handed layup. That one is good. 43-40.
Again, right there, like we were saying, Duke got another open look there from 3. Was not able to connect, but they've been getting a lot of these games.
LJ Kaysen with it now on the right baseline. Trying to get past Dame Sar. He can't. Up to Daimar at the top of the key now, and he'll give it back to Kaysen, who's moved up to the right wing. Kaysen back to Cadeau. Deep 3 from the left wing. Off the back iron. No good. That one was from deep in the Potomac. He was so far outside of the arc.
Wolverines need Cadeau to get going here. Currently has 0 points so far this game. They need him if they want to be competing here late.
Boozer with the ball now on the right wing for Duke. 13:50 to play. 43-40 Blue Devils. Boozer slowly moving around. Now over underneath the basket. Put up by Ngungba. It's going to be just completely deflected 3 times before finally being knocked out.
And that's incredible confidence there by Daimara. Like, to be in there in the paint, knowing he's on 3 fouls, still go up to contest Ngungba there and able to get another block. That's why he's been such a prolific defender in the paint, and he's one of the best blocking centers in all of college basketball at this time.
Duke to inbound the ball. Now with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. He'll be thrown into Boozer in the left corner. He'll just spin around and take a 3. That one is no good. Rebound 1 by Foster. Duke still has it. Now a deep 3 from Dame Sar. That one is also no good. And there's going to be an off-ball foul on the rebound. I don't know who they're going to go against, but it's going to be against Michigan.
That was a
Trey McKinney, the second he enters the game.
That was a great possession rebounding-wise on the glass for Duke there. You missed 2 shots. On the inbound, you get to Ngungba, your center in the corner, who has to force kind of a 3 from the corner, but you make up for it by getting the board. And Michigan needs to clean up these defensive rebounds because you can't give second points to this team.
Ball inbounded to Ngungba, right underneath the basket, right-handed floater. That one is good. 45-40 Duke. LJ Kaysen with the ball now for the Wolverines.
Michigan has not scored in 2 minutes.
Top of the key on the left side. A Trey McKinney 3, no good. Rebound fought for, put in by Roddy Gale.
Oh, well, I jinxed it there.
45-42 with just over 13 to play. Caleb Foster with it for the Blue Devils. He'll move to the left side, right on the Capital One Arena logo on the court. Throws it over to Gungba on the right side. Gungba waits for Evans. Evans takes a right wing three. Off the back iron, no good. Rebound fought for. Won by Hymenia. Duke still has it. Caleb Foster on the left side. 14 on the shot clock. Back to Hymenia. He'll spin, move around. Right-handed put up. That one is good. 47-42 as the Duke faithful get really loud now and jump to their feet here in the district.
Getting that and one. I mean, they are going on a little bit of a run here. Michigan, I know I said Michigan hadn't scored, and they just did. But, again, Michigan has not scored that much in the past 3 minutes, whereas as Duke they've been chipping away, and they've been getting a lot of these second chance points of getting their own boards and then immediately putting it back up. And that's something that they've excelled so far in this half.
Now Boozer will go to the line after a personal foul on Roddy Gale. Boozer bends his knees, puts that one up. Off the back iron, no good. It'll roll out to be rebounded by Trey McKinney. He'll pass it to LJ Kaysen, and Michigan will take it up court.
Good job boxing out on that. So far, the backcourt for Michigan has been quiet outside of LJ Kaysen. They need to get some of these other guards involved in this offense.
Adamara with it here at the top of the key. He hands it off to LJ Kaysen. LJ Kaysen thought about pushing the basket, but he didn't. Back to Adamara. Now over on the left side for Lendeborg. He'll hand it over to Kaysen on the left wing. Left wing three by Kaysen. Off the back board, no good. Rebound fought for, and it'll be knocked out, and it'll be Duke basketball.
Trey McKinney dove into the stands there trying to find that loose ball. Wasn't quite able to get it. Looks like he came out of the stands slow there. Hopefully he's okay.
12-11 to play here in the second half. 47-42, Duke advantage.
We've got a lot of let's go Duke chants raining in here. That was an interesting play there. I mean, LJ Kaysen kind of had to force a deep three there, and that's exactly what I was talking about is Duke's defense being able to disrupt Michigan's offense and spacing there. Like, it should never have, the play call should never have gotten down that far. That is not how Michigan likes to run their offense. And it forced, again, LJ Kaysen's been having a good game, but it forced him to take a shot that he normally wouldn't take, and not really a high percentage shot. Look at a possible flagrant one.
We're going to get a media timeout here and a challenge from Michigan for, as you just pointed out, a possible flagrant one.
But a cut, like we said, of course, we highlighted Adamara being on foul trouble, but Cameron Boozer also in foul trouble, as well as Caleb Foster. So that's two starters here on the Blue Devils that are currently in foul trouble, but they seem to keep them in, and they got a five-point lead here with a little bit over 12 to go in the second half. Michigan has not quite been able to get back from the 2 point. Again, it was just a 2 point deficit after halftime, but they've not quite been able to get over that so far this half. Duke hasn't exactly pulled away yet, but they've been keeping that gap between them and Michigan at a nice distance. So Michigan is definitely. I wouldn't say they need to start rushing here, but I think they're really going to. Dusty May is probably going to be trying to tell his team here to get back to the pace of play, get back to the basketball that they like to play.
So, Evan, if you're Michigan, do you really turn up the aggressiveness a couple notches here, or do you not absolutely sound the alarm bell just yet?
No. Still, I mean, it's a 5-point game, just over 12 minutes to play. You don't, especially with how prolific your offense has been this season, and also, and then you play complementary basketball. You know your defense is going to keep you in this game. There's no need to rush just yet. I will say, I think. Again, they're shooting the three ball around the same. Michigan's actually shot more threes than Duke has and made less. I would like to see them shoot a little bit less threes because the three ball looks that Duke has been getting have been really nice looks, wide open, a lot of off-ball movement because their spacing has just been so good this game. I think that I would like to see a little bit more points underneath in the interior. Go through the quote-unquote, as we've said, the big three for Michigan.
Michigan's three looks have been horrible. They need to run it through the big three in the paint and get.
And then once you start running it, through the big three a little bit more, that opens up your backcourt too. Because, like I was saying, Michigan has one of the deepest backcourts in all the country, and we've seen it day in and day out. Cadeau has a great game, and then LJ has a great game. But this game, it's really been all LJ. We haven't really seen a ton of Trey McKinney. Cadeau has been doing nice in terms of getting assists and kind of spreading the ball out, but he hasn't really scored that much. So I think that's the other thing. Just if I was Dusty May, run it through the big three because that opens up opportunities. It opens up the spacing for Cadeau, for McKinney, and for LJ to continue to get some good looks.
I couldn't agree more, Evan. They don't call you the best color man in NCAA basketball for nothing. It's absolutely incredible. I got nothing to add to that. You took every word that was in my mouth. That was beautiful. The main thing I'd look for, obviously, is not to sound like a broken record, my turn, but Addae-Mara having 3 fouls if you're Michigan. If you're Duke, Boozer having 3 fouls as well. Again, with 12 minutes left, it's starting to get to the point where it doesn't really matter. However, if you lose one of those guys, I think Boozer for Duke. Oh, hold on.
So they did not. Michigan did not win the challenge there on the flagrant one.
So they will be unable to challenge for the rest of the game. So they, as Evan just pointed out, they lose that challenge.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
I will say this 5 on the court for Michigan right now has probably been the most balanced and spread so far this game, with Trey McKinney, LJ Kaysen, Addae-Mara, Morris Johnson, and Yaxel Lendeborg. Because some of the sets we've been seeing has been a lot of not really that much balance. I mean, we obviously Yaxel Lendeborg leading the way with 18 points. So hopefully this 5 on the court right now can spread the ball out a little bit more and have a little bit more of a balanced attack and not really only run it through 1 or 2 players.
As Duke will inbound the ball, and we're back underway here. Caden Boozer with it for the Blue Devils. He'll pass it to his brother, who moves into the key, and he's going to travel. And so that'll be a turnover in Michigan basketball with 12:04 to play.
See, if I'm Dusty right now, I'm trying to up the pace of play here. You know, you get a travel to trying to change the momentum. If you can get a quick bucket here, that really starts to swing the momentum in your favor when you're down. You're only down 5 right now.
LJ Kaysen to take it across the half-court line for Michigan. He'll give it to Addae-Mara. Over to Trey McKinney now on the left wing. Back to Kaysen, almost at the logo in center court. He'll move over to the right side. Back to Mara on the left wing.
Duke is switching super well right now.
They really are. Back underneath the basket now to Johnson Jr. Thought about putting up. Thought secondly. Puts up a second time. That one rolls in and is good. Just a floater with the right hand.
Looks like
47-44 as someone hit the deck pretty hard, and there's a wet spot there they got to clean up real quick.
I can't tell if they called that a foul. There's a little bit of physicality there between Addae-Mara and Gongba. I think there was no foul there, though.
Nothing, just guys being dudes. Nothing worthy of a foul. 11:33 to play. Duke has it. Gongba with it at the top of the key. He'll hand it off to Caden Boozer. Caden Boozer floats it up in the alley-oop and slammed down by Gongba. 49-44. Michigan going quick in the opposite direction. Addae-Mara at the top of the key.
I really like that for Michigan. That was what they found success in the first half.
Back underneath. Yaxel Lendeborg put it up. Rejected! What an absolute denial. Another ball stolen. LJ Kaysen has it in the paint. He's right in the face of Amenia. He puts it up off the back. No good. Rebounded by Duke. And they'll slow it down as they take it the other way with Caden Boozer. What a 10 to 15 seconds there, Evan. So we're under 11 to play.
That was incredible to get the block and his own. He got the ball after the block, but then got a little bit lazy on the pass and turnover.
Wide open 3 from the top of the key by Gongba. No good. Rebounded by Morris Johnson Jr. Gongba shooting 26% from 3. But he's feeling himself a little bit. He was so wide open.
But again, I mean, that's another wide open 3 look.
Speaking of wide open 3, here's a corner one from Yax. That one's no good. The rebound will be taken up by Caden Boozer.
Rattled in and out. That's a good look. That Michigan likes that look. Yaxel has been able to make a lot of those shots so far this game. Just could not quite get that one to fall.
Caden Boozer standing on the Capitol building at center court at 10:15 to play as he tries to direct traffic. Over to the right wing now, Addae Sarr with it as that is intercepted. And now it's going to go the other way with Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney puts his shoulder into the chest of Addae Sarr, and now we're going to get a foul on Sarr.
Yeah, Addae Sarr pats his chest a little bit. I think he was trying to pass it underneath to Boozer there and just did not quite get enough separation on the pass. Good heads-up play by Trey McKinney. Good hands.
10:05 to play here in the second half. 49-44, Duke leads. Elliot Cadeau now with the ball. He'll pass it over to McKinney on the right wing.
Just under 10 minutes to play now.
McKinney at the free throw line takes a fadeaway. That one is no good. Rebounded by Amenia. Taken up court by Caden Boozer. Duke sending it around the horn. Boozer on the right wing. Tried to give it back to Gongba. It's knocked away. Boozer dives for it and gets it. Passes it to Amenia, who move in right through the middle. Puts up a right-handed floater off the front iron and in. 51-44 Duke. Under 9.5 to go here in the second half.
Great effort there by the Michigan defense, obviously, to get the deflection, and then a lot of bodies diving for the ball, but couldn't quite get the stop.
Elliot Cadeau now in the paint on the right side. Tries to put it up. He's going to be fouled on that one.
Fouled, and it looks like he tripped on Dame Sarr when he was on the ground. Luckily, no one was hurt from that.
Dame Sarr is going to, in fact, get another foul of that. Michigan trying to get their first points in almost 2.5 minutes. They're 0 for 4 from the last 4 field goal attempts.
Yeah, and
that's Cadeau goes to the line.
That is 3 fouls for Dame Sarr, too. So, although they currently hold a 7-point lead, a lot of your starters in foul trouble right now. They got to be careful.
Cadeau bends his knees, puts the first attempt up. That one will rattle around but go down to make it 51-45.
A lot of fans in this building do not like Elliot Cadeau. Obviously, he's playing against their team right now, but also the fact that he came from UNC. So most people in this building do not like him.
Second attempt is up, rings around, and that one is in, 51-46. Yes, we were walking around the National Mall earlier, Evan. We saw a decent amount of UNC Tar Heel gear and just people who are kind of here to hate watch and maybe cheer on Elliot Cadeau.
Yeah. hate watch Duke, cheer on Elliot Cadeau, just anything to go against Duke.
Blue Devils with it now on the other end. On the right side, Gungba with it. Layup off the backboard, excuse me. That one will be good. 53-46, Duke, under 9 to play.
Gungba is starting to heat up so far in these past couple minutes, which is great because, like we've said, Boozer hasn't quite been playing at the level he has been all season. So if they can get their other big involved.
Cadeau gives a free throw line floater. That one is off the back iron, no good. It was a little bit of an awkward shot. And now they're going to say a foul on that one on possibly Cameron Boozer. They're showing him on the Jumbotron. That will be Cameron Boozer, so that's his fourth foul.
That is
with 8:42 to play.
That is too much time for that. That's very uncomfortable with too much time.
It's minutes left.
Yeah.
I don't know. In fact, Cameron Boozer is now going to be yanked immediately by Coach John Shire. With 4 fouls, we don't want to lose
Malik
him.
Brown coming in for him. I will say, that's still you're taking out Boozer, but Malik Brown also has been incredible on defense so far this season. He's on the Warshaw for Defensive Player of the Year. He's been great.
Morris Johnson Jr. now to the line. He's like Giannis. He takes his time with these, bro. He bounces the ball a few times, bends his knees. He puts that one up. That one is good. Yeah. Michigan 53-47.
Michigan is really going to need these free throws. They're 0 of their last 5 field goals, 1 of their last 7, and they have not hit a field goal in just under 3 minutes. So any way you can get points, with these free throws, you need that when you're currently down 6.
Johnson Jr. with the ball again for a second attempt. Bounced it a few times, bends his knees, puts it up. That one is good. 53-48 as the deficit is 5. Duke now takes it up court. Crossover move by Caden Boozer almost got Trey McKinney down on the deck. Gungba with it now at the top of the key, and he'll just hand it back to Caden Boozer as they slow things down for a second. Boozer now into the paint. Over on the left side. Back to Malik Brown threw it away. He was intending to throw it back to Boozer, who was not paying attention at all. So that one's just going to roll down the court and out of bounds. And now Michigan's going to...
A lot of Maize and Blue fans on their feet right now.
That's the Maize and Blue faithful.
That is huge. Before that, Duke was 4 of their last 5 on field goals, and then obviously you make your 2 free throws. You got to stop just like you did on the defensive end of the court. If you can get some quick points here, the momentum is instantly switching in Michigan's favor.
Michigan basketball. Lendeborg with it at the top of the key. He'll give it over to Elliot Cadeau at the right wing. Underneath the basket, Morris Johnson Jr. tried to put it up. It's going to be blocked away. They're going to say off of Duke. It will remain Michigan basketball with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. 8:02 to play in the game.
That was off of Gongba. It looks like Daimar was also there. How about the physicality for Morris Johnson? He's been doing a lot of work under the rim.
Michigan inbounded. Again, 4 seconds on the shot clock. They got to move fast. He threw it up to a Daimar. Was off the back of the basket, so that one will be an immediate turnover. And now Duke will take it up court.
Not what you want to see for the Wolverines out on that inbound. You only had 4 seconds to work with, but takes away any chance you had there for points off the inbound. We're going to call a timeout here.
Caleb Foster takes it across half court, and they'll call a timeout with 7:47 remaining in this game. 53-48, Duke leads. And the story, Evan, is kind of stuff like that. Michigan doing just enough to remain in this game, but silly mistakes, like throwing it off the back of the backboard on an inbound.
And it's really been credit to the #1 defense in the country. It's been this defense keeping them in this game that has not allowed this deficit to grow much. Because when you look at Michigan's offensive numbers, their last 6, one of their last 8, they've not got a field goal since just under 4 minutes now. So really big scoring drought, but shout out to their defense. They've been keeping it in. And then shout out on the other end, Duke has really been trying to, even though they haven't necessarily been scoring at a high clip, they've been putting the pressure on this Michigan defense. And so it's really interesting to see how the rest of this, we got just under 8 minutes to go and then obviously the other storyline we've been talking about a lot of foul trouble on both ends of the court with a lot of starters here high up in the foul. So we're going to see how that plays out in the last 8 minutes. If I'm Michigan, I want to see, I like what they were doing just there. It didn't end up working for them, but I want to see a little bit more of Morez down low. He's been really physical working on Boozer and Gongba, and it's worked out. He had a nice little poster dunk earlier in the first half, and he's been really physical down below. I like that.
As we have the third shooting competition this game by our third different sponsor, Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Way better than Jack Links for anyone listening. This is the type of stuff you don't get on the ESPN broadcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Of course.
To WCBN Sports. If you're just joining us, I'm Zach Warshaw alongside Evan Anderson for our coverage of Michigan basketball's game against Duke in the Edward Jones Capital Showcase. We made the drive down to Washington, D.C. last night just to bring you coverage, and what a game we've had so far. Back and forth, no lead larger than 5. And Michigan doing everything they can to stay in this one and crawl back to bring this to even.
It's been everything that's been advertised. This matchup has been everything as advertised. We're highlighting a couple past Duke players here. It's been great. I mean, 1 versus 3 in February, no less. This isn't March Madness yet. This is 1 versus 3.
Potentially be a preview of the Final Four.
I mean, this is the #1 rated overall team versus #3 rated overall team. Both of their offensive and defensive efficiency ratings, both in the top 3. I mean, it's February, and we're getting to see these teams play. I mean, this is great for the sport. This is great for just the whole sport in general. It's been awesome.
So as we wait for the media timeout to end, again, 7:47 remaining in this one. Cameron Boozer with 4 fouls for the Duke Blue Devils has just been removed from the game. If you're Michigan, how do you try to exploit Boozer being out for probably the next 5 minutes or so?
I think, we were talking about how it's risky having a Daimar. I think you keep a Daimar on the court. I think, Daimar only has 4 points this game, and that's because for a lot of the big chunk of this game in the middle, he was off the court because he got into 3 fouls early there. But now that Boozer's out, and Daimar has done a good job of limiting his fouls since getting to 3. If you can have your 3, what is honestly the best front court in college basketball on the court when Boozer is not there, I really like the chances there. But even with Boozer out, we were talking about earlier, Gongba, he's been playing really well this game. He's shooting 4 for 7, 11 points. Him and Cameron are both tied for the leading scorer so far for Duke. He's been great, and he's been continuing to kind of fill those gaps that Boozer has not necessarily been able to fill so far this game. It'll be interesting to see Cameron Boozer also. He has had at least 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in every single game this season, and it's the longest streak this century. So we'll see if he's able to get to those numbers again this game.
Yeah, he's pretty good at basketball.
You could say that. Yeah. You could say that.
As Duke inbounds in, we're back underway here. Caleb Foster with it now, just inside the half-court line, trying to get around Cadeau. He passes it to Gongba at the top of the key. Gongba has Mara in his face. He'll just give it back to Foster. Now he's going to have to throw one up as the shot clock expires.
Yep.
No chance of that ever going in. So that's going to be a shot clock violation. And Michigan basketball, and we're going to get another immediate timeout here by Duke.
You got to love an immediate timeout right after coming out of the initial one. I think I'm looking at our stats right now. Biggest difference right now that I think is why Michigan has felt a little bit uncomfortable. They are being out-rebounded by 12 rebounds at the moment. That is, Michigan is one of the best rebounding teams. I believe they're 8th nationally in rebounds per game. in the country, and they're also scoring a huge clip in terms of rebound margin per game. I mean, so is Duke. I don't want to take anything away from Duke, because Duke is also an incredibly rebounding team, and so far, that's honestly what has set them apart this half, is Duke being able to give themselves opportunities for second chance points, and Michigan not, basically. Michigan defense has done a great job of contesting a lot of shots and forcing Duke to take bad looks. But then they can't back it up by then getting the defensive rebound. They on the perimeter, they do a great job of limiting good looks, but then they can't get the rebound, and Duke gets a second chance.
Yeah, they are kind of shooting themselves in the foot there, where you got to do the full play. You got to follow through.
You have to finish the play, and so far they have not been able to finish the play. And again, this scoring drought, no field goals in the last 4 minutes 10 seconds now. So a little bit slow here. I think Dusty May is probably a little bit appreciative of Duke calling that timeout there. He can get his guys in check, especially after a shot clock violation there by Duke. This is going to give the Wolverines here an opportunity to kind of run their offense, see what they can get started, because they need to. Again, still not so little time you need to panic, but they definitely want to start getting into this game.
Absolutely, as Michigan has no field goals in the last 4 minutes 10 seconds, and even that includes one for their last 8.
Yep.
As they show the entire Washington Wizards team, who honestly gets no cheers. Wizards kind of having a down year.
A little bit.
I don't know. Maybe you can speak on that, Evan, as a
DC
DC
a little
native,
bit,
but
a little bit.
but
well, and you also think a lot of the people here are probably not going to be DC Washington Wizards fans here. You got a lot of Michiganders, a lot of North Carolina.
As we wait for this timeout to exit, no, it's Duke being for their last 5, and as I just mentioned, Michigan struggling with Boozer out. This is your chance to really get back into it. Not that you're out of it; it's a 5-point game, but
I actually do want to say I haven't highlighted this enough. Boozer may not be showing up a ton in terms of scoring, but he is right now Duke's leader in rebounds and assists. So I'm actually going to backpedal a little bit on the.
He's just not.
He hasn't been scoring. He hasn't been the primary scorer. I mean, he's tied with Gungba in terms of scoring. He hasn't scored at such a high rate as he's done in past games when he's dropping 20, 30,
when
40
you're used
points.
To seeing him absolutely carry the entire team.
But he still is probably the best player on the court here for Duke, considering he has 8 rebounds, 7 assists. So all he needs to continue his streak actually is all he needs is 3 more points to continue his streak of having 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in every single game so far this century. I will say those stats seem to be very specific in terms of 5 rebounds and 2 assists, but it'd be great to see him continue that streak.
As the players re-enter the court and play, but we just got to wait for the security cards to get off.
And it looks like Michigan is doing exactly what we were talking about earlier. They have their big 3 on the court right now, despite, especially since Cameron Boozer not here. They want their front court on the court. Because when they are succeeding, even when they are succeeding, even when they're not necessarily scoring, it opens up so many chances for Cadeau and McKenney, who are currently on the court right now, and LJ Kaysen, who's probably first man off the bench at the moment.
As Michigan inbounds the ball, we're back underway again after that timeout, 2 seconds after the original one. Elliot Cadeau with it at the top of the key. He moves it to Lendeborg, who takes the spot. Back to Cadeau. Left wing 3 up, off the back iron, no good. Rebounded by Kamenia.
That's been Cadeau's spot this season, the left wing there, a little bit deep, open 3, open look, and he has not been able to connect so far tonight.
Caleb Foster with it now, as Duke is more than apt to probably take things slow for the rest of this game and drain as much clock, almost like running the ball in football. Gungba with it at the top of the key. He'll move it over to Foster, who takes his place, and now he'll back up to the logo in center court. Foster moves into the left side. Now he'll turn around.
Good switch there by Yax.
Evans. Evans moves in towards the middle. Moves around a few times, and now it'll lose possession of it and taken up by Michigan. Trey McKenney with it. Drives towards the basket. Puts it up. No good. Off the bottom of the hoop. Got a little too close there. Now Kamenia takes it the other way.
And Dusty May would have liked to see them move a little bit quicker there in transition when you had the numbers.
Kamenia on the free throw line. Now he'll turn around and just throw it back to Foster at almost half court as they slow things down in direct traffic.
Yaxel had great defense on that last possession there to switch to prevent the open 3 look, and then the block and get him to grab the steal.
6:20 to play here. Foster with the ball. Moves it over the right wing for Isaiah Evans. Isaiah Evans on the corner, takes a 3 that rings around the basket a few times. He actually is going to be a step inside. They're going to call that a deep 2. But it's 55-48. Is Michigan going quick the other way? They'll put it up, and then there's going to be a foul called to the dismay of many Duke fans here.
Fouling many there. See, that is what Michigan offense needs to look like, where they are quickly moving in transition. You inbound the ball immediately after Duke scores. quick in transition. And, even though Elliot Cadeau didn't score on that play, he draws a foul, gets to shoot free throws. So that's how Michigan has excelled offensively this season, and they have not been able to do that in the past, 5 or 6 minutes.
Elliot Cadeau at the line now. He'll bend his knees, put that one up, off the back iron, no good. As again, Michigan struggles to grapple back into this one with 6:02 to play.
As a team, they're shooting 61.5% here from the free throw line.
Cadeau shooting about 68% himself all season. He's got 2 points tonight. He bends his knees, puts a second one up. That one is good to give Michigan their first points in almost 3 minutes of game time.
Yep. It
makes it 55-49.
Still,
we're under 6 to play.
Still 0 for 8 from the last field goals, though. They need to get heated up there.
Caleb Foster with it now. He'll move in on the right side. Pushes Elliot Cadeau off and puts that one up, and it rings around and in. What a move there by Caleb Foster to make this an 8-point game at 57-49 with 5:54.
He pushed the tempo really well there.
Lendeborg on the left wing. He'll move in towards the paint, spin move around towards the baseline. Over to Morris Johnson Jr. right beneath the free throw line. He'll put that one up. It rings around. No good. Mara might have tapped that one in, but they're going to say it's good anyway. It's 57-51. No goaltending called.
Yeah, we've seen a couple interesting calls on that exact play previously this season of some, kind of 50-50 goaltending tap-in calls, but that one goes in Michigan's favor.
Foster with it again here at the top of the key. Moves over to the left wing.
Extremely shifty these past 2 possessions. Almost dropped Trey McKinney there.
Got McKinney in his face. He'll move in towards the right side, towards the basket. Right-handed floater off the back. No good. Rebounded by McKinney. Michigan takes it up court. Under 5 to play here in the second half.
Great defense by Mara there to get in his face.
Over to Lendeborg. Now Cadeau. He'll give it to Mara. Right inside the left wing. Right in the Bad Boy Mowers logo. Moves in towards the paint. Spins around. Right-handed shot is up and no good, but they're going to call Gungba on a foul here as he was putting his hand right in Mara's face, and Mara kind of leaned into that.
Yeah, he's not happy about that. I mean, it looked like Mara might have hooked his arm there, but that's honestly high IQ there from Mara because Gungba was reaching a little bit on that post-up, and as soon as Mara saw him reach in there, that's when he kind of seemed to hook him with the arm, and he's able to draw a foul. He's trying to get an and one there, trying to kind of get the finger roll in there. Will not get that to go, but now they need him to shoot these free throws.
Mara shooting about 49% from the line this season. He'll bend his knees, put that one up. That one is in. 57-52 after the first attempt.
And I would say that 49% from the free throw line is that's been a lot influenced from the first half of the season. He's shown good strides to increase his free throw percentage in this back end of the season.
Mara will put up the second attempt, bends his knees, puts it in. That one's good. 57-53 as Cameron Boozer re-enters the game for the Duke Blue Devils with 4 fouls. So just under 5 to play. Duke's rolling the dice to keep him in here as they don't want Michigan to crawl back in. As most of Capital One Arena now gets on their feet.
Michigan's cut the lead to 4 now. Just over 4 minutes to play here.
Gungba with it at the top of the key. Sitting around waiting for something. Now he'll give it over to Evans. Evan moves in. Threw it over to Gungba. Wasn't looking off of the side. McKinney gets it. And Michigan takes it up court.
This is a huge possession here for Michigan.
Morris Johnson Jr. in the left corner. Over to Mara. Back to Johnson Jr. Went for the dunk. No good. It was off the back. Wide open 3 from Lendeborg. Right corner. That one's no good off the back.
That incredible rebounding possession.
He got his own miss.
I think they're going to want to slow it down here. That last possession was very hectic. Slow it down just a tad bit here.
McKinney at the top of the key. Over to Mara at the left side on the baseline. Trying to get around Gungba. It's reached for Elliot Cadeau. Over to Lendeborg. Top of the key 3. That one is good!
There you go.
56. We got a 1-point game with 3:43 left in this one.
And that is playing complementary basketball. We were just talking about how Michigan had not been doing well rebounding the ball an entire possession. They might have gotten 4 or 5 rebounds in that one possession alone. That was great.
Caleb Foster crosses half court as Capital One Arena gets loud now. Foster moves over to the right side, and they're going to call a foul. It'll go on Trey McKinney. It'll be his 3rd of the night.
I'm glad we get a chance here to talk about that last possession. I mean, that was ridiculous. The amount of rebounds we saw, the nice pick and roll there by the 2 bigs, Mara and Morris Johnson. Morris Johnson was going for his 2nd poster dunk of the game, was not able to get it, but then Mara with the heads-up play to go grab that rebound, swings it over to Yax, who misses his 3, but then they get another rebound, gets it to Cadeau. And, we've been talking about Cadeau has not necessarily been hot from from the three-point line this game, and instead of forcing another shot, he had an wide open look, mind you, wide open look in the corner. Instead of forcing that shot, he passes it to Yax, who's been a better three-point shooter this game, and they get the 3 points there. I mean, that was an incredible rebounding possession there, and that is exactly what Michigan needs to do to get back into this game, as they've done just now, and that's how they've excelled so far this season.
Absolutely is. We just mentioned back to a 1-point game, 57-56 with 3:24 to play in this one. Michigan now completely flipping the script. They're on a 7-0 run over the last 2 minutes and 7 seconds, while Duke hasn't scored in almost 2.5.
Yep.
As we saw, I think that was Duke's response to that, was putting Cameron Boozer back into this one with his 4 fouls. In now for about a minute, nothing going on, but it definitely rolling the dice. One more and he's out, but you got to have him in here because Michigan's been able to crawl back without him.
Just under 3.5 minutes to play here, 1-point game. This is going to be like the 4th time I've said it so far this half, exactly what was advertised in this matchup. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better than this. It's been incredible.
Came into this one expecting, as we mentioned, just realistically a preview of like what very might likely be the Final Four, and we've gotten all that and more tonight. Only thing that's surprised me so far is maybe a little lower scoring than you would have thought, but just because both defenses are absolutely showing out.
Both defenses have been incredible this season, and they've really shown up this game. I will say, a lot of that momentum came up at the defensive side of the ball for Michigan. They got a couple steals there, a couple blocks underneath. Michigan currently has 3 steals compared to Duke's 4, and I think 2 of those came in the past 3 minutes. So Michigan's defense is starting to create opportunities for their offense, because you get a steal, that allows you to push the pace of play, get some points in transition.
As they announced on the Jumbotron, tonight's attendance 20,537. which is the highest attended college basketball neutral site game now of all time. As we saw on College Game Days, tickets were exchanging for hundreds of dollars, some closer to the court even for almost 7,000 for a game in February.
It's ridiculous. This is unheard of in this sport, to have a game of this magnitude in the month of February. And not to mention, earlier today, was it yesterday? We saw Houston and Arizona play, the number 2 and 4 teams. I mean, it's incredible that we had this level of basketball on one day in February.
Absolutely insane, as the Duke and Michigan faithful have taken over Washington, D.C. as we are making our way through the 7,000 joggers outside today and just seeing so much maize and blue.
And there was a ridiculous amount of maize and blue, ridiculous amount of Blue Devils here on the National Mall.
As we're just about to return, ready to play here, both teams are turning to their huddles.
Try not to get blinded here by these lights. They got a little bit of a light show coming on, and one of them is right at our level, right in my eyes.
We are here in the press box, and so we're right by the catwalk lights that do keep shining right in our face. As Dusty May and John Shire both getting some last-second thoughts in as we wait for the Duke Blue Devil himself to exit the court. Nice Kate, brother. Get off.
Currently, Cameron Boozer is the only player on either team right now with 4 fouls.
Foster and Mara both have 3, including Trey McKinney. That was his 3rd right before the timeout, As Duke will inbound it. Again, 3:24 to play here in the second half. 1-point game. Thank you for joining us on your Saturday night. We're going to take you to the end with this one.
It's going to be a great ending.
And inbounded to Gungba. Alley-oop attempt for Evans. That one is down. He had a wide open police escort to the basket to make it 59-56.
They executed that drawn-up play and out of the timeout to perfection right there. That was perfect.
Adayamara with it now on the other end for Michigan. At the top of the key. He'll give it into Cadeau. Puts it up off the back. No good. It rolls off. Rebounded by Cameron Boozer, and now Duke will take it up. Under 3 to play.
That is just unlucky. That's just kind of the night it's been for Cadeau, unfortunately. That was just unlucky there for that layup to not go. It was so close to going in, and he could not quite get it to fall. Great pick and roll there, though, by Morez and Cadeau.
Boozer with it now on the left wing for Duke. Moves it around. He's got 8 on the shot clock. He's got to put up. He's just kind of sitting there. Now he'll move in towards the left side. He'll put it up with both hands. No good. Gets his own rebound. Second chance opportunity is up. No good, but he's fouled on that one.
That might be a foul on Mara, too.
It will indeed be on Adayamara. That'll be his 4th as Boozer goes to the line with 2.5 to play. in this 3-point game where Duke leads 59-56.
How about Boozer being able to get his own rebound there on the initial miss? That was huge.
All-out effort.
That's
what
huge.
You want to see from your players if you're Duke.
He is very close to having a triple-double here. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists here.
As now the refs are actually going to take a look at this one to see if it is a foul. They're going to see if it was a foul or the shot clock went off before he got it up. So if that did hit 0, huge break there for Adayamara again. That would be his 4th, so he hasn't fouled out yet, but 2:30 left. And that was the quickest review I've ever seen in any sport ever.
At that point, why even go to the review there?
It took them about 3 seconds to find out the foul was before the shot clock, so that will be Mara's 4th, and Boozer will go to the line.
Keeping him in right now. Yeah.
Boozer shooting about 77% from the free throw line, because what doesn't that guy do well?
Exactly. Duke right now in the bonus. Michigan actually here in the bonus plus. Yep. As they're announcing that it was in fact on Mara.
Boozer gets the ball. He bounced it a few times, spins it around in his hand. He'll bend the knees, put that one up. That one is good. 60-56 Duke lead.
Nothing but net there on that.
Before they try to make it 5.
These are huge free throws here. Just 2.5 minutes left to go. Leading by 4. If you can extend this to a 5-point game, all of a sudden not one possession anymore.
Boozer puts the second one up. That one is good. 5-point game, Evan. As Elliot Cadeau will get the ball, and Michigan takes it up with under 2:30 to play. Cadeau moves over to the right side. Swings it ahead to Mara in the paint on the right side of the basket. Spin move around Gungba. He puts it up. That one's in. As he's so tall, he basically could just place it there. Now 61-58.
To be able to lay up that ball from the block, I mean, it just shows how much of an advantage here his length and height is to be able to get it there, especially on a great defender in Gungba, too.
Foster with it. He'll give it to Gungba at the top of the key. Under 2 to play here in the second half. Back to Foster underneath the basket. Now back on the left wing. A 3-point attempt is good from Boozer to make it 64-58. They left him wide open.
And that's just a product of the little cut underneath being wide open.
Cadeau now over to Morris Johnson Jr. on the other. Back to Cadeau. Left wing 3 is up. That one is good.
There you go.
The response 3 from Elliot Cadeau.
That is what the Wolverines need here for Elliot Cadeau to get hot late in this game.
64-61 with under 90 seconds left to play. Ball is given to Caleb Foster, and he'll take it up slowly for Duke as the entire arena now is on their feet for about the last minute of this one.
Just over 1 minute to play here. 3-point game in D.C.
Boozer with it right underneath the Edward Jones Capital logo. He's got Morris Johnson Jr. in his face, taking his sweet time with this one. Boozer moves in on the left side. Spin move around Johnson Jr. Right-handed floater. Rejected!
Oh, they're going to call goaltending, I think.
They're going to call a goaltending.
They're going to call goaltending on that.
Which this will undeniably, they're going to call a goaltend on the floor. They'll go to take a look at this one, but they're pretty quick to call that. 66-61 as the goaltending stands.
This one could be close. From up here, it was a little bit hard to tell. I thought that might have been a clean block. We will see, though.
It looked like a clean block from up here. Granted, we are in the absolute ethers here of the roof. But with 1:01 to play, it looks as if Duke has made it back to a 5-point game.
I want to go back to that previous possession there where Boozer was able to hit that 3. That cut was very similar to the inbound play they did out of the timeout where they had a guy cutting along the baseline wide open to get a layup. It was Isaiah Evans, I believe. Michigan crashed on that. They defended the cut well because he was not able to get that layout of it, but then it left Boozer wide open on the left wing. He had an immense amount of time to get that 3 off. And, I mean, that...
As they confirm the goaltending, so it will indeed go back to a 5-point lead for the Blue Devils. 66-61 with 1:01 to play. As even on the replay, I don't know if that one was going down necessarily, but it was confirmed. They had enough to not just hold it, confirm it. Now Elliot Cadeau takes it up court for the Wolverines. We're under a minute to play here from the district. Elliot Cadeau at the top of the key. He moves into the right side. Tries to put up a shot. He's completely fouled by Gungba on that one. And so Elliot Cadeau will go to the line to shoot 2.
I like how he went quick there. He knows the situation they're in, and to be able to go quick, because once Duke gets this ball back, they're going to really slow it down. So the Wolverine players are going to have to really have a high press here.
Fode to the line. He gets the ball. Takes a good long look at the basket. He'll bend his knees. Put that one up. It is good. 66-62 now the score as he tries to make it a one-possession game with the second attempt. Roddy Gale Jr. will check back into this one in exchange for Trey McKinney after Michigan has been going with the same lineup for pretty much the vast majority of the second half.
That Roddy Gale substitution, that tells me they need defense. And obviously the situation, they want to maximize steals, maximize defense here.
Cadeau puts the second one up. That one is good. 66-63, back to a one-possession game with 51.4 to play. Duke to inbound the ball.
Caden was left wide open on that.
Throw it ahead to Caden Boozer on the right side. He's tied up with Cadeau as they just throw it back to his brother as he stands in the logo in midcourt. 41 seconds to play here. 17 on the shot clock.
What a 20-second difference on the shot clock and game clock.
Cameron Boozer with it now at the top of the key. Let's Go Duke breaks out in Capital One Arena. Throws it ahead to Gungba. He'll put that one up. Right-handed floater off the side. No good. Gets his own rebound, though. And now, with a 2-second difference, they're going to have to foul.
Have not fouled yet.
They haven't fouled. Finally, they do with 14.6 after they let almost 9 seconds run off the clock. Horrible clock management there by the Michigan Wolverines. And so, with 14.6 seconds left, Duke's going to go to the line. It looks to be Kayla Foster. Couldn't even see because I was in disbelief they hadn't fouled somebody already.
I will say Kayla Foster is only shooting 55% from the free throw line. So, I guess maybe the management there from Michigan is they wanted to foul a non-prolific free throw shooter.
And they're going to review something here to make sure they want to make sure the ball hit the rim.
I think they want to make sure the timing is correct. Yeah.
This is really just an excuse to give us another media timeout, to be honest with you. But with 14.6 seconds left, Evan, what is?
Again,
as the review. I thought I could have time to ask you a question. The review lasted 3 seconds.
I will say a little commentary before we get back into this. The breakdown in that play that led to that is Michigan had a huge press on to try and prevent that inbound, but they left Caden Boozer wide open at half court to get that inbound. So immediately your press is gone because Duke already has the ball in the other end of the field, and other end of the court.
Isaiah Evans to shoot these free throws. He's shooting about 89%. So.
Not in fact who Michigan wants to be shooting these free throws.
Probably actually the exact opposite, to be honest with you. As Evans gets the ball for his first attempt. He'll bounce it a few times, bend his knees. He puts that one up, and that is good to make it 67-63. Had a chance for a 1-and-1, and he got that one, so he gets the second one now.
This second free throw could seal it here.
Second one is up and good to make it 68-63. And we're going to get a Michigan timeout here before they...
It isn't your Duke timeout there. They want to make sure they have their defense set. Again, like we've said, I mean, the chances are not looking amazing at this current time for the Michigan Wolverines. But, with being down 5, just under 15 seconds left to play, but Michigan is known for their high-tempo offense. If they can potentially get a quick bucket here, get it within one score again, and then get a quick steal, I mean, it's not impossible. We'll say that.
It's not impossible, but you really did yourself a disservice there by not fouling for almost 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because now you have 14.
I mean, especially off the first miss. I mean, I understand not fouling off the initial first miss. You're trying to get that rebound, maybe get a steal in the chaos. But as soon as that ball found the outlet there near the Capital One Arena, you would have wanted to foul there.
Both teams get set to re-enter the court of play here. Just a quick 30-second timeout from Duke, as you mentioned, just want to get their defense set. We'll see if Michigan goes super quick here. I mean, they really have no option.
No, nothing else. I'm interested to see what off-ball movement they go for here.
As Namari Burnett will be checked into the game, he'll inbound it to Elliot Cadeau. Cadeau sprinting up court. Over left wing, back to Burnett. Top of the key, 3 is up. Off the back iron, no good. Rebound is got by Dom Maysar. And that'll do it here in the district as Duke gets it. And they're going to slam it down as the clock expires. Just to really put an emphasis on this one.
And this crowd here in Washington, D.C. has erupted for the Blue Devils.
A 70-63 looks to be our final scores Evans got that absolute two-handed slam down with just under 0.1 to play.
Final score is going to be 70-63 here in Washington, D.C. Blue Devils come out on top. Almost, could cement their case for the number one seed or number one ranking here in the AP poll after dropping off Michigan here. I mean, what a game. Duke started to pull away there in the last minute, 2 minutes there. Besides, Michigan had that little bit of a run there, but this was everything that it was advertised to be, number 1 versus 3 on a neutral site. I think the biggest takeaway here is defense. Both defenses played incredible, but Duke's defense did a much better job of disrupting Michigan than Michigan did and vice versa in the second half. Duke's defense did not put that better myself. It did not allow Michigan to run their high-tempo offense, and they just made them uncomfortable for the vast majority there. I mean, again, Michigan went on that run to get it within 3 off the three-pointer there, or get it within 1, I believe it was, off the three-pointer there from Yaxel. But for the most part in the second half, it just seemed like Duke was causing them a little bit of discomfort.
And they're actually going to take that off the board, the two-handed slam.
Yeah, so I thought it might have been after the buzzer.
Final score will actually be 68-63. And although you can say Duke was the better team here, it was really Michigan and their own mistakes that really killed them in the end. Because it's only a 5-point difference, and that's really due to just a few Michigan miscues here and there that really didn't allow them to get back into this one. And only the reason they were able to is because Cameron Boozer had 4 fouls and was out for a decent amount of the second half.
I mean, Michigan's front court did what they've been doing all season. Yaxel Lendeborg 21 points, Maurice Johnson with 13, and Adai Mara with 10. But honestly, I think the biggest deficit there is their backcourt. They did not the depth in the backcourt did not show as much today as it has in past games. Elliot Cadeau got hot there towards the end, scoring 8 points, a couple of those off of free throws. There was too many long pauses of scoring drought there for the Michigan Wolverines for them to be able to come back in the game, especially after you go into halftime down 2, and it really should have been tied after 2. And it seemed like, it's only 2 points. That's never an insurmountable deficit, but it just seemed like that 2 points was never something they could get back after that the late free throws there by Duke going into the halftime.
And I know we're gonna see it everywhere. If you want to make the argument the refereeing or officiating is what really made a difference here, I am a very firm believer that if you're in the position where it's dictating the game, then that's not exactly what is going to do
sure. I'm in no means a referee expert, so I'm not in a position to criticize or comment on that. So I think it was an incredible game to watch, incredible game to witness, and fans really showed out here in Washington, D.C. for both teams.
Absolutely. As we just again look at the stats here, Cameron Boozer obviously led Duke in just about everything by the end of the game. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists.
He continues his streak.
Where Yaxel Lendeborg led Michigan with 21 points and 7 rebounds. Elliot Cadeau had 6 assists for the Maize and Blue. Again, team effort from both sides for the most part, even the Duke Blue Devils until the very end.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is Michigan didn't score. Michigan scored really only once in that last 2.5 minutes there. Got 1 field goal, and that was, I think, the biggest. Duke's defense was able to clamp down in that last bit of time and really seal this game away and preserve their lead.
Absolutely is. Cameron Boozer announces a player of the game here as he gets some sort of award from Bad Boy Mowers. That's going to go on the mantle, for sure. As we close things out here, Evan, is there any last-second thoughts?
I do not. It was incredible to be able to broadcast this game, especially with you, Zach. It was a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. So before we sign off here, again, Duke wins this one 68-63. Thank you again to Gabby Miller and Jaden Fode for first half coverage of this one. I've been Zach Warshaw alongside Evan Anderson. From Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., we'll leave you as we always do with a good night and a Go Blue.
Go Blue.